Hi guys! Today we'll be recapping a story called I'm Only a Stepmother, but My Daughter is Just So Cute. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy. Stories portray stepmothers as vile and jealous characters. If you look at Abigail with her upturned smile and intense gaze, you'd also put her in the villainous category. Abigail consults her magic mirror, and when the mirror tells her that her stepdaughter, Blanche Friedkin, is the most beautiful girl in the land, her smile becomes a creepy, upturned smile. Ew, her smile looks really scary. She almost looks like a serpent. Beck Copley was a lover of all things cute. As a children's clothes designer, she worked tirelessly to turn children into princesses. When her body couldn't keep up with the limits she was pushing herself to, Beck Copley lost her life at the age of 30 due to overfatigue. But by some miracle, Beck Cup finds herself with life anew. However, this time, she wakes as the beautiful and alluring villainous Abigail. On a perfect day, Abigail invites Blanche to join her for tea. As Blanche makes her way to her, she can't help but showcase that upturned smile at Blanche's cuteness. Seeing this, Blanche recoils, thinking she might have made a mistake again, albeit unknowingly. Oh, Blanche, don't worry. That's not your evil stepmother anymore. Hearing the fear in Blanche's voice, Abigail quickly clears the air between them. You see, when Beckup was reborn into Abigail's body, memories of the original Abigail's actions flooded her mind. Turns out, Abigail constantly subjected Blanche to her terror out of jealousy for Blanche's young and beautiful features. How envious! At one point, Abigail briefly experienced death. But when she awoke again, Abigail's original consciousness was gone. Beck Hupp's consciousness replaced Abigail's own, and now she continues to live in Abigail's body, which explains the situation she's currently in. Anchoring herself back into the present, Abigail stares at Blanche fondly. With all sincerity, Abigail apologizes to Blanche for everything she put her through in the past. Blanche may not believe it now, but Abigail truly wishes to make amends. This story is literally like Abigail's redemption arc. Except it's Beck Cap who saves Abigail through her genuine actions. Realizing that it takes time to heal, Abigail excuses Blanche so that both of them may rest from the afternoon. As Blanche exits the garden, she accidentally bumps into the king. He merely looks down on her with contempt and tells her to be gone. If Abigail could describe King Savrion Friedkin, the perfect word would be trash. Dang, what a waste of such a handsome face! Savrion and Abigail's marriage was merely transactional in hopes of uniting two nations. But as soon as they were wed, he wanted nothing to do with her. Abigail, who was Cronenberg's most elegant flower, had experienced rejection from her own husband. Due to his constant contempt towards her, Abigail began to hunger for his attention. But even as she died, Savrion could only offer her harsh words, even so far as expressing they should not meet in the next life. Today, as Savrion meets Abigail, he comes only to discuss matters relating to her brief death. He tells her that a possible cause could be poison. However, since a proper autopsy cannot be performed, doctors can't be too sure. LOL, that was a snide remark. It's like he's saying, because you lived, we couldn't find out what was wrong with you. Savrion also inquires about the events leading to Abigail's death, but since she still couldn't remember anything, they hardly had anything to discuss. Cutting to the chase, he directly asks Abigail if she purposefully ingested poison to get his attention. It was only natural for him to assume, considering she had done it before. Jeez, talk about ego. If this is how Abigail usually acts, then it's time to put an end to it. She turns to the king and without any hesitation tells him that she no longer craves for his attention. She could only get so far by obsessing over gaining his favor. To further assert herself, she offers a suggestion to Savrion. With a smile on her face, she tells him that they should start using separate rooms. A king must be an elegant communicator. However, upon hearing Abigail's suggestion, Savrion is far from being articulate. He stutters as he repeats her request. His ego crumbled for sure. Abigail affirms that she indeed wants separate rooms. He does not further the matter as he agrees to her request. Between Abigail and Savrion, it is Abigail who is leading the conversation right now. She no longer finds a point for Savrion to continue his responsibilities to her as a husband. However, her only request is that he fulfill his role as a father to Blanche. A child deserves to be treated with love, which is why he should at least provide Blanche with that. Savrion is disgusted at her audacity. He reminds her that Blanche is his child and not hers, so he will do as he wishes. Hearing his response, Abigail expresses her anger vocally. "You go, girl. Tell him who's boss." She carries the same friedkin name that he and Blanche carry. Therefore, she had all the right to concern herself with the child's well-being. Without saying any more, she leaves Savrion appalled and alone. Later that night, as the maids hear Abigail summoning them, they worry about what the queen might want with them. Ah yes, anxiety at its worst. Abigail is known to be unpredictable. Even the smallest little things could bother and anger her. And what happens when she's angry? She takes it out on the maids. When the maids arrive, they are surprised when she asks them to choose which gift suits Blanche more. The new maid, who is unaware of the queen's attitude, answers her honestly. Hearing this, the older maid fears that everyone might get punished for how laid-back the newbie talked to the queen. However, she soon finds herself in disbelief when she realizes that Abigail's intention has no ill intent. Gosh, how mean was Abigail in the past for her maids to suspect her of pure evil all the time? As the queen gives away her jewelry and grants permission for the maids to dress freely, the new maid Clara could only admire her majesty the queen. Despite her kind gestures, Norma, the older maid, still hesitates. Could this really be the same Abigail? She feels like she's serving a totally new queen. I mean, technically, you're not wrong there. During breakfast, Abigail asks Claire about Blanche's fitting. She could only think about wanting to style her in the cutest dresses. Even though Abigail wants to go, she holds back as she knows Blanche might feel uncomfortable around her. Hearing the queen's doubts, Clara tells her that it would be a good idea to go, especially since Abigail is preparing to give Blanche a gift. Feeling reassured, Abigail asks Clara to help her get ready. Make sure she's as pretty as ever. Meanwhile, in Savrion's study, he is visibly bothered by something. Something with Abigail's recent behavior didn't sit well with him. For the time being, he assigns his attendant, Millard, to observe her actions and immediately report them to him. Later, during Blanche's fitting, Abigail hides from view as she observes Blanche and her aunt/tutor, Madame Jeremy. She is utterly speechless that Jeremy is choosing uncomfortable dresses for Blanche. Sure, they're pretty, but comfort should be considered too. Not wanting to cause trouble, Abigail holds back from speaking up. Gotta admire her self-restraint there. After all, they don't even know she's around. As she continues observing, she notices Blanche taking an interest in certain dresses. However, it seems like Blanche's hopes are crushed when Jeremy doesn't pick out the dresses she likes. Although she really liked the dress, Blanche can't find the will to tell her aunt. Seeing Blanche sad, Abigail could no longer hold back. Pushing the door strongly, she barges into the room, ready to fight for Blanche's wishes. Hooray! Abigail to the rescue! Everyone's mouth opens in shock at the queen's entrance. However, Abigail pays no mind to this. Instead, she immediately asks about Blanche's fitting. As if she doesn't know, she's been there the whole time. Jeremy responds that the dresses for the princess's spring collection have already been ordered. Eyeing the dresses Jeremy picked out, Abigail notices that none of them were to Blanche's liking. In an attempt to help Blanche, she tries to find the dresses that caught Blanche's attention earlier. As she stumbles upon the pretty dresses, she immediately asks if Blanche likes them, to which she happily responds yes. She continues to look for dresses, but she really can't remember all the dresses that Blanche likes. Look how much effort she's making! Suddenly, her search halts when Blanche smiles at her genuinely. How cute! Her smile is so beautiful! Seeing her bright smile, Abigail couldn't contain her happiness. Immediately, she declares that she will buy all the dresses for Blanche. Even though her intentions are pure, Jeremy still stops her. There is no way that the princess's budget could afford all the dresses. It is at this moment that she reminds them that she said that she will use her own funds to pay for Blanche's dresses. Later on, Abigail presents Blanche with 2 pairs of shoes. She tells her that it's a gift, and it's the reason she came here in the first place. Blanche is over the moon about the queen's gesture, but still, she feels sort of guilty that the queen was spending this much on her. Hearing her sentiments, Abigail reassures Blanche, saying that Blanche could repay her simply by wearing the dress she deemed her favorite. As the queen excuses herself, she is rather pleased with her actions. Suddenly, she stops in her tracks as Blanche comes running to her with a big smile. Aww, I think she's going to hug her! Blanche is breathless as she runs to keep up with Abigail. When Abigail asks what's wrong, Blanche immediately shows her that she's wearing the shoes the queen gave her earlier. As she models her shoes, she happily smiles at the queen and tells her how joyful she feels. Aw, I really thought she was going to hug Abigail. That night, Abigail can hardly sleep. All she can think about is Blanche's smile and beauty. She really wants to be closer to her. She thinks of giving the princess another gift. Initially, she would love to give her a dress, but perhaps it's too soon. The next day, Savrion observes Abigail as she follows Blanche around. He's still skeptical about the sudden kindness she's showering Blanche. As he reflects on her actions, stealing glances at Blanche and screaming afterward, he convinces himself that she truly is masking her hate for Blanche. Savrion sees Blanche finish her stroll, and lo and behold, Abigail tails near her. His eyebrows raise as he realizes that Abigail is probably about to reveal her true colors. Meanwhile, Abigail is excited to give Blanche her gift. She prepares for a week just to bestow her a gift that she would actually like. But as she draws nearer, she gets nervous about the entire situation. She didn't want it to look like she was following Blanche around. She was, though, but of course, nobody had to know that. As she makes her way to leave the gift, Savrion confronts her. She tells him that she has a gift for Blanche. Upon hearing this, he immediately inspects the box in her hands. Dude, you really don't trust her at all? As he opens the box, he finds a bunny doll. Abigail smirks at Savrion, knowing all too well that he is doubting her. What she doesn't expect is what he's about to do next. With a swift motion, Savrion slams the doll to the ground. He draws his sword and without hesitation, he stabs open Abigail's gift. If only he did that out of concern, but obviously, he just did that to prove that Abigail was plotting something. Savrion forcefully tears open the doll that Abigail had prepared for Blanche. He inspects its stuffing, thinking a needle is being hidden inside. When he finds nothing, he expresses his amusement at Abigail's lack of ill intent. What an awful person that man is! Abigail shatters as she looks at the ruined gift before her. A week's worth of effort fades away in the span of seconds. Savrion? He really is as cold-hearted as ever. How could he feel no remorse for his actions? Abigail's anger and sadness mix in a chaos of emotions. She tries her best, but her eyes flood out all the tears born of her emotions. Oh, I hate seeing her cry. She doesn't deserve this. Savrion is shocked to see Abigail crying. Suddenly, Blanche appears before them, curious about the whole situation. Quick on her feet, Abigail covers up the mishap. It was unfair to make children witness fighting, especially if it's their parents. Trying to compose herself, she tells Blanche of the gift she prepared. She tells her that the needlework must have been sloppy since all the stuffing came out. Hearing this, Savrion is shocked that she concealed the whole situation. In response, Blanche caresses the broken doll, saying that one of her maids would fix it for her. Either way, she would treasure the doll as it is. She really is a sweet angel. After the incident, Savrion consults Millard about Abigail's behavior lately. Millard tells him that he's been hearing nothing but good things, but for sure it's all an act. Savrion questions himself. Could it really be possible that Abigail's a changed woman now? Just believe it, will you? Just as he and Millard converse, the ministers request an immediate audience with the king. They have come to discuss matters of bringing a second queen. For what? Abigail is more than enough. Once again, eloquence doesn't seem to be one of Savrion's better features. Finally collecting himself, he manages to remind the Duke that he has no plans of taking a new queen. You can at least treat Abigail better then. The Duke disregards this and proudly puts forth his daughters as potential options for the king. He must have gotten too carried away as Savrion yelled at him in response. Speaking after, the minister tells him that the matter of finding a new bride is of importance. If the king dislikes the Stoke family, then it would be best to consider different families as options, so long as a bride is chosen. Savrion is about to interrupt when the minister mentions Raven, the king's illegitimate brother. Ooh, now I'm definitely curious about Raven. He seems intriguing to say the least. Nobles value bloodline most of all. If Raven marries and has a son, the nobles would want to choose him over Princess Blanche. After all, a prince with the same blood as the king is more prioritized than a princess. Not wanting to hear any more, Savrion dismisses all the staff before him. In an exhausted state of mind, he briefly begins to have delusions. A beautiful woman wraps her arms around him, telling him that worrying about those matters is one of the king's duties. Is that his first wife? However, he suddenly sees the piece of clothes he had picked up earlier from the dismantled doll. Snapping out of his delusion, he quickly stands up and collects his thoughts. Remembering Abigail's words, he reflects that it is the first time he's heard not to act like a husband. As he reflects, his thoughts drift to Blanche as well. He truly admits he hasn't been doing a good job at being a father. As if that wasn't obvious. Exhausted for the day, Savrion retreats to his quarters, but what awaits him is a shocking sight. In his bedroom, roses are lined everywhere, and exactly on his bed is Abigail in a very red and non-conservative robe. Despite insisting on separate rooms, Abigail purposely stays in Savrion's room tonight and lays out a romantic mood. Don't get her wrong, she still despises Savrion very much. However, with the earlier events of ruining her doll, Abigail decides to take revenge. Yes! Don't get mad, get even. Abigail tells him that so long as he doubted her innocence and pure intent, she would stay by his side despite his dislike. The only way she'd leave him alone is if he'd apologize for what he did. Savrion responds to her by saying that he was mistaken, not about her innocence, but about her excuse of sharing the bed. He still thinks that she's head over heels for him. The audacity of this man! Hearing this, she once again tells him that she no longer craves his love. To her surprise, Savrion actually apologizes, except it's the driest and most forced apology ever. That was drier than the Sahara Desert. Deeming it insincere, she tells him to apologize properly if he wants to be left alone. Bending down to a full bow, Savrion complies as he expresses a sincere apology. Satisfied, Abigail motions to leave his quarters, but before she does so, she gives him her unsolicited advice. As she always says, she doesn't want to concern herself with him anymore. Whether it's love or heirs, all she wants is a simple life. Therefore, it was all right for him to take a new queen. Similar to what Savrion told his advisors, he yells at Abigail, telling her that he would not remarry and that only Abigail would be his wife. Ooh, for some reason, I got butterflies in my stomach. Dropping the topic, she leaves Savrion's quarters, but as she makes her way back to her room, her cheeks flush the reddest hues. Today, Abigail indulges in her self-care. But as Clara is putting fragrance oils on her hair, the scent makes her react in a panic. The scent simply reminds her of that night in Savrion's quarters. I guess she would like to push that memory from her mind at all costs. Seeing Her Majesty react so badly, Clara is quick to catch on that it's related to the king. After all, it was Clara who decorated the room with a seductive red rose theme. Concerned, she asks if something had happened that night. Abigail reassures Clara that everything went all right. Before they could talk further, a gift from Savrion arrives for Abigail. As she opens it, she sees 2 rabbit dolls nestled in the box. It's similar to the doll he destroyed that day. Oh, so he does have a conscience, huh? But what was this other doll? It takes her a while, but she realizes that the dolls resemble mother and daughter. Inspecting it closely, she realizes that one of the dolls wore the exact same outfit she wore before. So could it be that these dolls resemble her and Blanche? Oh, how cute! It really is her and Blanche! She muses at the dolls, thinking that perhaps Savrion wasn't as bad as she originally thought. As she opens the attached letter, she immediately takes back what she says in irritation. She couldn't believe that Savrion would dare threaten to reduce her budget. Later on, Abigail entertains merchants as she acquires items of rare and great quality, especially a material meant for Princess Blanche. She takes interest in their other items, noting that they've been bringing in much better items than they did in the past. Abigail expresses that she enjoys the items the merchants have brought. Most of all, she especially enjoys the magic mirror she once bought. It's the mirror mentioned at the beginning of the story. Abigail, though regal in stature, often finds herself at odds with the art of discernment. Just a month ago, a crafty merchant had attempted to deceive Her Majesty by pawning off counterfeit items. As a princess, Abigail had been sheltered and cherished. Yet her sheltered upbringing left her ignorant of the world's nuances, fostering an air of pride that masked her lack of worldly wisdom. She was often portrayed as indifferent and like a know-it-all, a trait that had made her an easy target for past deceit. However, a newfound sharpness allowed her to effortlessly discern the shady items now presented to her. That particular merchant senses that the queen must know that the item he's offering is fake, hence he got the item, a magical dress weaved from morning dew, dawn's light, and spider webs. What are we seeing here, mister? I think you lost your dress. If not, then you lost your brain. The merchant spins a tale that only those with tainted or malicious eyes are blind to the dress's celestial allure, assuring the queen that its beauty will sparkle before her very eyes. Assuming the queen's pride would compel her to avoid admitting any inability to perceive the dress, the merchant believes he has her hooked. Or so he thought. However, the ever-cunning queen devises a plan to turn the farce into a spectacle. With playful yet piercing remarks, she suggests that the garment resembles a man's dress coat, and so commanding the merchant to try it on. Attempting to backtrack, the merchant soon realizes that the queen's words are not a mere suggestion, but a direct order. Thrown into an underground prison, stripped bare of clothing, the merchant's humiliation echoes through the chamber. Abigail's head throbs with realization as she confronts the frailty of her past self, once easily manipulated. After this incident, the merchant coalition suffers a great loss due to the change of heart of the biggest pushover. Meanwhile, a daring merchant takes a chance, offering Abigail a genuine magic tool. Distrust etches across the queen's face, anticipating yet another attempt at deception. To everyone's astonishment, the offering turns out to be a magic mirror, a mirror that purportedly speaks only the truth. The queen tests the so-called magic mirror with the timeless query of Snow White's stepmother: who's the fairest of them all? The magical mirror shimmers, casting a reflective glow before chastising the queen for her foolish question. The queen and all present are rendered speechless, their jaws dropping in collective astonishment. Truly jaw-dropping. I would love this mirror for myself if only I didn't possess such a foul mouth. Everyone stands in disbelief as the mirror speaks to Her Majesty, particularly shocking the merchant himself, realizing his item has just insulted the queen. He pleads with the queen to spare his life, claiming the product must be defective. However, the magical mirror takes offense at being labeled as faulty. Fearful of what else the mirror might say, they quickly cover it with a cloth and rush to remove it as per the merchant's desperate plea. But Abigail intervenes. Snatching the cloth off the magical mirror, Abigail confronts it, questioning if it indeed called her foolish. Well, this foul-mouthed mirror is certainly doing an unexpected twist to the story. Responding to the queen's abstract query about beauty standards, the mirror astutely points out the subjectivity of such questions, earning Abigail's admiration. I like this mirror. Well answered. The merchant trembles in fear as the queen says she'll take it. She meant the mirror, you idiot. Abigail takes a liking to the mirror, leaving everyone equally shocked and awed. She even names it Verite, meaning truth. Verite is surprised. He's never heard Abigail was this kind of woman, in a good way. Other than spitting out spiteful remarks, Verite is probably smarter than any decent civil official in this palace, which makes Abigail like him more. However, despite its purpose to flatter, Verite is determined to shatter and disappear rather than shower any praise on the notorious queen, defying Abigail's strict commands. Meanwhile, seeing an unsettling reflection of evilness, Abigail feels like she's talking to herself in the mirror. And it seems like the mirror had some senses in it. It transforms her reflection into a man with similar features as Abigail. Such a handsome man! From that day on, Verite assists Abigail in the palace, following 3 strict rules. No casual conversations, only the truth without any flattery, and an intriguing instruction: to name Princess Blanche as the fairest of all. Abigail is just too cute with her obsession with Blanche. Verite struggles with this contradiction, unable to answer the unanswerable question despite Abigail's insistence. His unwavering convictions clash with Abigail's evident intentions, leading to a chilling moment where Abigail's demeanor turns menacing. No doubt her character is originally carved for an evil role. In a tense exchange, Abigail's frustration mounts, and with a screech of her nails against the mirror, she demands an answer. Verite, holding to his principles, meets a swift end as the mirror shatters into countless pieces. That day marks Verite's first encounter with the peculiar queen. Now he stands helplessly, subjected to the dreadful sound of Abigail's voice. Repeatedly, Verite must endure Abigail's insistent inquiries about who's the fairest, cutest, loveliest, all met with the same answer: Abigail's beloved Princess Blanche. For Verite, it feels like a relentless assault on his self-esteem and pride. Abigail's fixation on Blanche seems excessive, dominating their every conversation. They're choosing a gift for Blanche, and Abigail is irritated with how rude Verite is, as if she's not threatening this poor mirror in their relentless battle. Observing Verite's display of dismay in the mirror, Abigail sweetly coaxes him, insisting he's the only one she truly trusts in the entire palace. She strikes a deal, discussing Blanche in exchange for learning all about Verite's favorite subject: magic epidemiology. Upon mentioning epidemiology, Verite visibly softens. Classic give-and-take strategy. Bravo! She's got the magic nerd to loosen his guard up. Verite helps her with the gift for Princess Blanche. He even calls her Veve now, meaning he isn't pouting anymore. Veve? So cute! Verite is amazed at how Abigail seems happier as she makes the gift for Blanche. He assures her that Blanche will like the gift surely, because who wouldn't? Abigail decides to trust the words of the smartest in the palace. She marches to Princess Blanche's whereabouts. She even shares the remaining rare candies with Norma and Clara upon knowing they like it. Such an angel indeed. Meanwhile, a guest appears a little far away from Abigail's eyesight. Duke Stoke emerges from Princess Blanche's room. Abigail suspects them as the culprits to Abigail's death. This time, Abigail vows not to let anyone get away with any misdeeds. Determined, she strides into Princess Blanche's room. As the queen enters the room, she finds Princess Blanche attending her etiquette class. Blanche looks so elegant with a book in her hand that Abigail lost her mind, thinking, why doesn't this era have cameras? She now wishes she could just burn this picturesque into her retinas. What a way to admire! Her eyes are even starting to water because they were kept open for so long. All of the admiring stops when she sees Blanche repeatedly scolded every time she wobbles and loses her balance. The frowning face of her nanny sends chills down her spine, telling her that she should display perfect etiquette as the daughter of the late Queen Miriam. Wow, so much for being a princess. Her nanny tells her no matter how important or gifted they are, their words will always be disregarded unless they are beautiful in appearance. Abigail is repulsed and angered by the notion, deeming it wrong to impart such ideals to a child. Even in this fantasy world, she's irked that these outdated teachings persist. Misogyny runs deep in her past life, telling her achievements are not for girls, they just need to be pretty to have a set life, or body standards like losing some weight or getting some touch-ups instead. She was judged multiple times by her looks, discrediting her capabilities, and telling her it is just how society works. This is just so heartbreaking. Observing the same treatment to Blanche, Abigail's heart aches. The nanny's blunt comments on the young girl's body, urging an 11-year-old to control her eating despite being smaller and thinner than most her age, evoke Abigail's sympathy. Poor baby. Abigail steps forward, offering Blanche the candy she prepared. But before Blanche can taste them, the nanny intervenes, demanding the queen take back the gift. The audacity! You're so dead. Attempting to voice her dissent on how the nanny handles Blanche, Abigail is silenced when the nanny reminds her that it was Abigail herself who distanced from the princess's education. Once again, the past Abigail proves to be a thorn in her side. I mean, that woman in the past was such a pain. Sensing the tension, Blanche apologizes for her perceived greediness, reassuring Abigail she doesn't have to eat the sweets. Abigail is left wordless, struck by the complex emotions swirling around the situation. Abigail insists Blanche can enjoy the candies, but her nanny intervenes, forbidding it. She asserts to Her Majesty that maintaining a figure suited for dresses requires avoiding weight gain. Furious at the nanny's stance, risking Blanche's well-being for a particular body image and corset, Abigail swiftly dismisses her, asserting her dominance in the situation. In this place, where everything is different and unfamiliar, stifling rules like these still remain. In her past life, Abigail was skipping meals and taking appetite suppressants to diet up until the day she died. Blanche hesitates to indulge in the candies, but Abigail assures her that children have the right to enjoy tasty treats and grow happily and healthy. Blanche's happiness takes precedence above all. Those words embolden Blanche to take a bite, her eyes lighting up with joy. Suddenly, tears stream down her face, leaving Abigail flustered, wondering why Blanche is crying. Through sobs, Blanche reveals it's her first time tasting something so sweet. Overwhelmed, Abigail embraces her, saddened by the weight of such a simple pleasure, causing such emotions in the young girl. Promising to fulfill all of Blanche's desires, including a daily supply of sweets, Abigail encourages her to cry if needed, but always wears a bright smile, as radiant as the sun. The next day, King Savrion invites Abigail to join him for breakfast, but she anticipates indigestion rather than satisfaction from the meal. Both sit apart in silence. Abruptly, Savrion questions if it's true that she quarreled with Blanche's nanny, which she didn't deny. Abigail tells him the reason for such actions towards Madame Jeremy, the nanny, from starving Blanche to not respecting her, by not asking for her opinions on things. But Savrion seems trusting to Madame Jeremy that he keeps reasoning out for her. Well, a king must be rational at all costs, I understand that, but Blanche is his daughter, it should be different. Savrion asks her what kind of a nanny she wants since they need to find a replacement for Madame Jeremy. Even her name screams cheapness. He muses about Abigail's intentions, questioning if she aims to remove Madame Jeremy to bolster her own political standing. But he recalls that Abigail isn't seeking reward or power. She desires a quiet, inconspicuous life. He suggests someone from the Storkhouse as Blanche's new nanny, and Abigail agrees, provided the replacement respects Blanche and doesn't restrict her meals. Savrion remarks on the importance of meals to Abigail, surprising her with the implication that she's like a pig. She tries to not jump to conclusions. He wouldn't be that much of a nut job. He decides to leave Blanche to Abigail instead as her mother, although they don't share blood, which makes her shocked at first. He wonders if Abigail declines the princess, which Abigail immediately denies. With the decision made, Savrion leaves Blanche in Abigail's care, albeit with lingering concerns. He assigns a guard to the princess, viewing this as a test to confirm whether Abigail's transformation is genuine or merely an act. Curious, Millard asks Savrion if he might have developed feelings for Her Majesty. At the mention of feelings, Savrion smiles. Viewing marriage as a business transaction, emotions hold no place in his world. Hearing his response, Millard is speechless. As he watches the king walk away peacefully, he clenches his fist, summoning the courage to call His Majesty. A jittery Abigail prepares her and Blanche's first meal together. Unlike her meal with the king, nerves jangle within her for a different reason this time. She checks her face if it looks scary. Well, your character is supposed to be scary, so... She tries to make a softer expression, but fails miserably. Blanche enters the room, leaving Abigail in awe of her adorable presence. Abigail's heart races, trying to contain her smiles and calm her racing pulse. Uncertain of Blanche's preferences, Abigail prepares various dishes, hoping they suit her taste. Why does this feel more like a date than a normal breakfast? As Abigail glances at Blanche, she notices the young girl isn't eating and wonders if it's acceptable to devour everything. Confused, Abigail informs her that the main course isn't even served yet. Blanche shares that she's usually instructed to eat only half of the salads she's served. A mask of concern replaces Abigail's attempted scary demeanor. Composing herself, she encourages Blanche not to restrict or overeat. Blanche finally enjoys her meal while Abigail watches, utterly charmed. She looks like a hamster! Undeniably cute. Realizing that Blanche's father just stands by while his daughter isn't properly nourished angers Abigail. Learning that Blanche never shared a meal with her father intensifies her frustration towards Savrion's coldness. After Blanche's birth, Queen Miriam passed away, leaving Savrion grieving and vacant in his affection. Abigail learns that Savrion harbored resentment towards Blanche, believing her responsible for the loss of his love, a sentiment Abigail believes unjust. After the meal, they indulge in dessert time. Initially, only Abigail partakes as Blanche stops after a bite of the eclair. Blanche, finding the dessert too delicious, wants to give it to Abigail. Hearing this, Abigail feels a surge of happiness. She could die content. At this moment, she believes they formed a close bond. Abigail can't get enough of how cute and kind Blanche is. She just wants to touch her cheek so badly. Abigail, you're staring too much. Abigail tells her she appreciates the gesture, but she really hoped Blanche would enjoy those eclairs instead. Expressing gratitude, Abigail hopes Blanche relishes the eclairs she prepared for her. Blanche's delighted reaction makes Abigail wonder why Savrion could harbor hatred toward this lovable child. She vows to showcase this precious side of Blanche to make Savrion regret his neglect. Easy with the expression, Abigail. You're starting to look like that queen. Meanwhile, Savrion is enjoying his rare rest in the library until a knock disrupts his peace. Spotting the queen, he promptly closes his book. Abigail's visit aims to request Savrion to dine with Blanche once a day. Dismissing the importance, Savrion views Blanche as no longer a child, brushing aside the request as indulging childish behaviors for an heir to the throne, exasperating Abigail. Frustrated, Abigail insists she's trying to build their relationship. His dumbness about family and relationships is getting on my nerves. Savrion fails to grasp the connection between family and shared meals, questioning why he should join in when the Queen and Blanche often dine together. God Lord help this insensitive king. Abigail explains to him that he's the princess's father. The atmosphere becomes heavy as Savrion contemplates the idea, while Abigail, afraid of misunderstandings, immediately tells him that it doesn't mean he should dine with her as well, like he didn't have to play the role of a husband, just father-daughter bonding. But Savrion stares at her as he asks what she means by the role of a husband. He asks her how she came to the conclusion that she no longer desires his attention. Abigail would like to yell at his face that she is not his wife, but before she even answers the question, Savrion asks her again if she has found a lover, which Savrion will not interfere if Abigail brings in an escort. Seriously? I thought you were insensitive, but you're dumber than I thought. He even tells her that if she becomes pregnant, he will treat it as his own. What a jerk! Dumbfounded by what Savrion said, Abigail just looks like true evil with her dagger stares piercing through him. Abigail trembles as she confronts Savrion about his disrespectful remarks, expressing how she strived to maintain dignity and pride despite their superficial relationship. She's outraged by his insult. After all, she's his wife and the queen, deserving of respect. How dare he insult her this way? Anger consumes Abigail at Savrion's casual insult to his wife, leaving her shattered by her inability to act against him. She seethes with frustration at his audacity. Savrion swiftly apologizes, seemingly making frequent errors lately. He seeks forgiveness, while Abigail sees this as an opportunity to make her request a while ago possible. Savrion tries to haggle the schedule of the said meal with Blanche, but in the end, Abigail seals the deal for 3 days, a meal with her face marked with firm determination. Seeking to turn the situation in her favor, Abigail pushes for her earlier request. Despite Savrion's attempts to negotiate the schedule, Abigail stands firm, securing 3 meals a week with Blanche. Amidst Abigail's furious demeanor, Savrion chuckles, eventually agreeing to dine with Blanche thrice a week under one condition: Abigail must join them. Their dynamics seem oddly intriguing. There's no other option. Abigail agrees to the deal with a heavy heart. Before leaving, Abigail can't help but ask Savrion if it is because of the previous queen, that he's been keeping a distance from her and Blanche. Before she's even finished, Savrion cuts her off by asking what nonsense she is spouting about loving the previous queen. Afterward, Abigail confides in Verit about her conversation with Savrion, expressing her frustration. She ponders over Savrion's apparent lack of affection for his own child and his prolonged absence from the queen's position. Abigail, just accept it! Savrion must be made out of iron and aluminum. Unable to confront Savrion due to his apparent distress, Verit hints at some palace rumors that might shed light on Abigail's unanswered questions, teasingly offering to share the grave tale with a devilish grin. She's now confused as to how Verit, a magical mirror, could have possibly heard any rumors when it's been in this room the whole time. Verit tells her that it has the ability to eavesdrop whenever there's a mirror, which surprises Abigail with this new unlocked feature. Abigail is too excited as she asks Verit to fill her up on the rumors. Verit starts with the well-known rumor about Savrion being emotionless and cold-blooded, imprisoning his own mother, the Queen Dowager, suspecting her of planning to seize the throne, a story Abigail is familiar with. The next rumor rattles Abigail. Speculation that Blanche might not be Savrion's biological child, sparking thoughts of a possible affair by the Queen. Trying to ground herself, Abigail reminds herself it's all hearsay. Chill, Abigail. It's just a rumor. Another rumor suggests Savrion's isolation stemmed from his distrust of women after his past with the Queen. Abigail is perplexed by Blanche's resemblance to Savrion, but Verit introduces another lookalike, Raven. Abigail is too indulged with all the drama, forgetting once again that it's just a rumor. The rumor's subject, Queen Miriam, has already passed away. There's no way to check, but Abigail can interrogate Raven, but Abigail knows that he will definitely refute. Remembering her mission in the relationship between Savrion and Blanche, Abigail loses her mind. Verit suggests its new surveillance-like feature, then suddenly the mirror changes its point of view to Savrion. Verit, you're indeed the eye of every corner. Keeping an eye on him using this would surely slowly uncover the truth. But it feels wrong for Abigail, thinking how violated he would feel to invade his privacy. Abigail knows that asking directly is just too foolish to do, so such things are needed to hear directly from them. So she plans frequent meetings to gauge their relationship dynamics. Meanwhile, the kitchen is hectic as they prepare His Majesty and the princess's meal. They are paying too much attention to every detail as per that queen's orders. Abigail has a long way to go to change her villain character into how she really feels right now. As the main course nears serving, the head chef instructs the server, and Madame Jeremy discreetly awaits by the hall, signaling the server to come over. Madame Jeremy calls the maid over and assures her that it will be okay. She sprinkles something unknown on the steak and instructs the maid to give it to Princess Blanche for her diet. The maid, clearly doubtful of Madame Jeremy's motivation, tests the substance. By her expression, it seems to be a normal spice. The old nanny hurries her to serve the meal. Unbeknownst to her, she is standing right beside a mirror as she spills her reason for doing so: to cause an incident. Give the princess a break, you evil nanny! In the dining hall, the 3 royals are sitting together. The maid serves them their meals, and as instructed, she gives the smallest steak laced with spice to Blanche. Across the table, Abigail calls the maid and requests to switch her plate with the princess, as she requested the one without the asparagus. At first, the maid panics, but is relieved when nothing happens. While eating, Abigail commends the chef for his work, but she has to stop since she also needs to start dieting soon. In her old world, society valued looks too, and she was looked down on due to her weight. She fears that she might be ostracized again if she doesn't watch her weight. They are now drinking tea, and she is beyond annoyed that the king hasn't said a word yet. This guy is really heartless for being cold to his daughter. Deciding to open a conversation herself, Abigail compliments Blanche on her cute dress and bids the king to do the same, which he does. The princess blushes as Abigail continues to shower her with praise. Suddenly, small fairy wings appear at the back of the blushing child. Abigail rubs her eyes, and the king and the princess look at her with concern. She seems to be feeling more excited than usual. What could this be? There it is again! Wings! Blanche looks at her with adorable, worried eyes. Abigail then proceeds to proclaim her admiration for the princess loudly and openly, which causes the other two to be even more concerned. She then asks the king to praise his daughter as well, which he does in a toned-down manner. She expresses her concerns about Blanche's upbringing and her desire to bounce the princess on her knees. Not only that, but she calls on the little princess who, although surprised, enthusiastically goes to Abigail's side. She hugs the child tightly before bouncing her and proceeding to cry. What is happening to our queen? At least she is freely expressing affection for our dear princess. The king knows that something is wrong. Abigail keeps switching from emotion to emotion, making him even more concerned. Savrion calls on Blanche, asking a maid to escort her out of the room despite Abigail's loud protests. He then orders a doctor for the manic queen. He looks at her a lot longer than usual and notices her eyes. Then suddenly, Abigail grabs onto his cheeks and starts giving him a sermon about him being a handsome, evil man. Every word enunciated by squeezing his cheeks, expressing her concerns about him not caring enough for his child. How comical! Way to go! Even in this state, she is spouting facts. Millard comes in and stands in shock as he sees the king being physically assaulted by the queen. He hurries and pries her off the king. The king commands him to bring in the doctor. The doctor suggests that she be in her bedroom, so she stands up. While standing up, Abigail gets dizzy and faints. Abigail wakes up with a hangover-like sensation and tries to remember how she got to her bed. She remembers the meal and the events that transpired after she became her intoxicated self. She recoils at the painful remembrance. How embarrassing. She thrashes on her bed as Savrion approaches her and asks how she is. She apologizes profusely, and he assures her that no offense was taken. He knows she would not say those things in any other circumstance. Furthermore, she apologizes again and wonders how she became the way she was. According to the doctor, the dish she ate had a significant amount of nutmeg, which is a common spice but can have negative effects if taken in excess. Abigail looks at Savrion, feeling his dark aura. Then he tells her that he decided to execute the chef for serving such a damaging meal. Instantly, Abigail jumps to the chef's defense and asks for a lighter punishment. She claims that the chef's demise will weigh heavily on her heart. Thankfully, he accepts, much to her relief. He then informs her that Blanche is looking forward to seeing her. A concerned Blanche quickly enters the chamber. She expresses regret to the youngster for acting inebriated throughout their supper. The young girl says that it's all right after expressing concern for the queen's welfare. The incident did reveal something that Blanche is curious about. Shyly, Blanche wants to know if the queen really likes her as she said earlier. Abigail shyly confirms this, and Blanche beams brightly. The princess then requests to go on a walk with her once she recovers completely. Abigail readily agrees and declares herself well, but the doctor advises her to take it easy and rest. She starts to object, but she is interrupted by an intense headache. We know that you're excited, dear Abigail, but you need to recover first. Before she can raise any more objections, the monarch reiterates the doctor's orders, and they leave her chamber. Abigail plops down on her bed to relax. Suddenly, a voice from the bedside table startles her. It's coming from the hand mirror. Verit expresses his worry and tells her that she should not downplay her sickness. The nutmeg she ingested almost caused her death. If not, it might have been a coma or blindness. That evil nanny, karma will come her way for sure. She looks at her mirror in utter disbelief. Verit remarks that the side effects Abigail felt after ingesting nutmeg were minor, and that if it was a young child like Blanche, death would have been inevitable. She shudders in horror at what might have been, remembering that the child almost ate it. Indeed, poor Blanche could have suffered those horrible side effects. Abigail really has to fire the chef now, she says out loud. The mirror informs her that the chef is not involved at all. The truth about the incident is then revealed by Verit. Soon enough, the queen summons Madame Jeremy. The old nanny thinks that the queen is unaware of her involvement, so she goes confidently, but upon entering the room, the air fills with hostility. Abigail then lays it out to Madame Jeremy and accuses her of attempting to poison the princess with nutmeg. The older woman proceeds to act like a victim with crocodile tears. Of course, the queen ignores this and calls the maid who served the meal. The accused denies her association with the maid. Abigail hammers down the fact that the two were involved by showing them the recorded events from a small mirror in a box. Ah! No escaping this now, evil nanny! Madame Jeremy looks in horror as she sees herself pouring the nutmeg on the meal. She caves and confesses to doing it so she can be the princess's tutor again. She only wanted to cause a small incident, she claims. This ticks off Abigail. She clasps the woman's jaws and explains the gravity of her crime. If Blanche had eaten the food laced with nutmeg, then she would have died. The old nanny looks at the queen in horror. She did not know the effects of the spice when she got it, and she did not even bother to ask if there were any effects on a child. Still holding the older woman's jaw, Abigail berates her even further. Who would do such a thing to a child, especially one she treated as her own for 10 years? Madame Jeremy apologizes profusely. Abigail lets go of the woman's jaw and gives her 3 options. First, to confess to the king herself. Second, the queen delivers the message, or lastly, the queen will end her life herself. Comfortably lounging on her chair with the maid messaging her, Abigail listens to her maid update her with the latest news. In the hopes that her penalty might be lessened, Madame Jeremy went straight to the king and confessed her misdeeds. But despite her efforts, her punishment was the death penalty. The king certainly does not hold back, that is for sure. After learning of it, the princess wrote to the king pleading for Madame Jeremy's life. The monarch gave in and altered her penalty to jail time. The chef is even back in the palace after being falsely accused. At present, Abigail sips her tea but instantly moves when reminded of the scheduled walk she had with the princess. After getting ready, Abigail goes to their meeting place early and enjoys the fresh air. In the corner of her eye, she sees something in the bushes, and lo and behold, it's Blanche picking flowers. She startles the child, but Blanche shyly gives her the flowers. The queen is delighted to receive it and compliments her for the beautiful flowers. Blanche pulls Abigail in and tells her how relieved and happy she was when the queen told her she liked her. She also thanks her for accepting her invitation to take a walk with her. Abigail is taken aback by this. The way Blanche expresses her feelings is evidence that she is growing up. The admiration and absolute love for this child are seeping out of her, causing tears to rise and causing concern in the child, which furthers her adoration. I love how perfect she is as Blanche's mother. We can clearly see that she will go to any length to protect her. The two go on their walk in the garden. While walking on the path near the palace, Abigail looks up at one of the windows, and she sees a glimpse of Savrion looking out the window. After a while, Abigail sits on the balcony. She has her easel set up and is drawing a landscape. Clara brings her tea and comments on her recently frequent drawings. Unknown to the maid, Abigail is starting her hobby so she can slowly transition to designing dresses. Clara notices the necklace she's wearing. The pendant has a piece of flower given to her by the princess. The two have become quite close since their walk. We can see just how happy our queen is about this. The maid informs her about the Founding Day festival and asks about the type of dress she'd like to wear. The mention of the event summons the memories of the original Abigail. She was humiliated on the last day of the founding festival. Abigail wonders if that will happen this time too. Another maid comes up to her, this one bearing gifts, and announces the arrival of an envoy from her homeland, Cronenberg. Abigail stands and goes to her visitor. On the way, she concerns herself about the identity of her visitor. If it isn't someone in Abigail's original memories, how should she treat them? Her worries disappear as she is greeted by someone she knows, Sir Moise. The older man across from her is Sir Moise, an acquaintance of the Emperor of Cronenberg. According to her memory, he is on friendly terms with Abigail. They greet each other formally, and Abigail asks about her parents' well-being. The older man fills her in that they are well. However, they do worry about her, especially because of the absence of heirs. She remembers her old life. It was like this too. On holidays, her relatives would always ask if she had a boyfriend, to go on a diet, her job, etc. Typical relatives meddling in your social life. This we can certainly relate to you, Queen. Sir Moise continues that her mother is concerned about her because of the events that happened at the previous year's festival when the king refused to dance with her. Dancing as a couple, no matter how bad their relationship is proper etiquette in this society. Savrion refused to dance with her, no matter how much she begged. The interaction was witnessed by nobles, who then started gossiping behind her back. The fact that Savrion is well known to dislike dancing is a silver lining. Abigail's mother is okay with them not dancing, but the real issue is producing an heir to cement the relationship between the two countries. The old man asks her if she's still hated by the king, and she assures Sir Mose that they are getting along just fine. She also mentions that they have been having meals together. This brightens up the old man. He then expresses his desire to see the king and queen share a dance for this year's Founding Day festival. Abigail looks taken aback. Sir Mose sees this and turns gloomy, immediately mentioning his doubts about the two of them getting along. She quickly retracts her expression and assures him that they do get along, but she is apprehensive about the subject of the dance. He beams, ignores Abigail's apprehension, and takes it all in a positive light. In the gardens, Savrion flinches. Someone must be talking about him behind his back. Millard communicates his doubts about the queen and the royals' relationship. They have been having meals together with his daughter there as well, a thing that Millard highly encouraged. Even after the nutmeg incident and the finding of the real culprit, Millard still doesn't trust the queen. It was strange that it was the queen who consumed it. Savrion admits that he doesn't really trust her fully, but it would be excessive to suspect her after the perpetrator has been found. He doesn't plan on having anything with her, as he has no feelings for her. He's just curious about the variety of emotions she expresses and the warm aura that was not present before. You better hold on to your word, mister. Honestly, Abigail deserves better. From a distance, she can see a boy running towards them. He tells the king that the queen has requested a dance. They meet in the garden. Abigail stands under the shade as the king and his aide approach. They greet each other. Savrion directly asks Abigail for the reason for their meeting. Millard leaves the two royals to converse privately, although reluctantly. Abigail and Savrion are now left alone in the garden. Savrion asks her again his unanswered question, the reason for the meeting. Abigail carefully tells him that she wants to dance with him at the Founding Festival Day party. Before he can reject her, she explains further that due to pressure from her family, they would like to see an improvement in their relationship through a dance. Her country's latest envoy, Sir Mose, expressed her family's discontent after the fiasco that happened the previous year, and the fact that they have not produced a child together. He understands this and thinks about her simple request. She looks and approaches him differently for the request than she did last year. She's different somehow. Her aura is definitely different, but it is still troubling for him. He quickly makes excuses for himself, saying that he does not wish to dance and do so in front of others. Abigail's impression of this is that he has two left feet, so she offers to practice with him since there is still plenty of time before the party. Savrion ponders why he's unable to reject her proposal, so now he's struggling to give her an answer. She looks at him expectantly. He really doesn't want to dance, but he can't just tell her that, so he ends up telling her he'll think about it. Why is a usually arrogant guy like him acting all shy? What is happening to Savrion? He must have looked forced to Abigail as she apologizes for wasting his time and walks away, taking the king's half-hearted answer as a no. Dance practice time. Blanche goes first. She is practicing with Clara, who's instructing her on the steps. They finish with a twirl and a bow, and as if on cue, Abigail, accompanied by Martha, is there in the background to cheer and praise the princess. Blanche blushes humbly at her stepmoms and Clara's praises. She shyly expresses her wish to dance better so she can also receive compliments from her father. The three adult women surrounding her are stunned. No matter how mature and dignified she acts, Blanche is still a child, and it's normal that she seeks her parents' approval. Poor little girl. She deserves to feel loved by her father. No matter how handsome you are, Savrion, ignoring your child is such a red flag. Abigail pats her on the head and assures her that he will absolutely be happy for her. The princess then asks if she can dance with her father, which shocks Abigail. She wants to tell the child the truth, that her father is a bad dancer, but she decides against it. As bad of a father as he is, Abigail doesn't want his child to think differently of him. She quickly saves the situation by offering to dance with Blanche instead. Her half-meaning proposition is met by the child's enthusiasm, and Clara backs up the child's approval as they both look lovely together. Both are now in agreement, so they decide to practice dancing right away. The two do the usual dance routine, and they are clearly enjoying it. Abigail silently thinks that her body has memories of dancing, as the original owner liked to dance to get attention. She thinks back to her old life when she garnered negative attention while dancing due to her weight. She doesn't let that memory get her down as she enjoys her dance with the princess. The dance practice ends as they bow to each other, and the room fills with claps and praises from the two witnesses, Clara and Martha. Still emotional, Clara suggests that they wear matching outfits at the party. The two royals find this a good idea. Blanche proposes that the queen choose the outfit for the two of them, which pumps Abigail up. She has been waiting for this after all. In her room, Abigail draws her designs while asking Verit for suggestions. She shoos the mirror as she draws a design that Blanche will absolutely like. Before she became Abigail, she was a designer. Her extensive knowledge of clothing history is helping her design the perfect outfit for herself and her lovely adopted daughter Blanche. Most of the fashion trends of their time are uncomfortable, even for adults. So she decides to work around it and sketches out a design that Verit comments on being unique. Abigail already has a bunch of other designs, so she takes her drawings to Blanche, who is waiting for her at dance practice. Abigail hands over the papers to the child, who admires all of them and thanks her. The drawings are then handed over to the maid so they can start their practice. Everyone in the room, except the queen, gasps as Savrion walks in. He has come to practice dancing, which surprises Abigail because she assumed that he had rejected her. Millard approaches the princess as she greets the king. The secretary greets the child warmly. Abigail can clearly see that the man is also a member of the fan club that she is also in. He then offers to dance with her, but Blanche wants to dance with the queen. Millard glares at Abigail, and before their menacing looks can turn into a fight, the king stops them. Turns out, Millard is another member of the Blanche fan club. No wonder he's so hostile towards the queen. To avoid any trouble during the practice, Abigail suggests the princess dance with her father so that they can dance together during the party. Savrion reluctantly agrees after some convincing from Abigail and Millard. He stands on the dance floor and he presents his hand as an invitation for Blanche. Blanche looks at her father and shyly retreats behind Abigail's skirt. She can clearly see the child's hesitance to accept the king's invitation, so she encourages her with a promise to practice with her more. The princess accepts Savrion's hand and they just stand there awkwardly. Even after the music starts, they stare at each other timidly. Abigail acts quickly and shows them a demonstration of the dance with Clara. She dictates the steps as they go along so the king can comprehend the dance himself. The king leads his daughter to do the same dance. To Abigail's surprise, it seems the king got her demonstration to the T as the two danced well together. Until Blanche stumbles on his foot, falls to the ground, and concerns everyone, including her father. The queen and princess are taken aback by this rare display of emotion by the king. He makes sure that Blanche is okay before continuing their practice. After their second round of practice, Savrion concludes it by being strict with Blanche, which Abigail certainly does not appreciate. Now it's time for Abigail and the king to practice. After making sure Blanche is okay, she looks back at him and he looks pale. She tries to make him comfortable by offering to send off the audience, but he claims he's okay, so they proceed. She requests the musicians play the music and reaches out her hand to Savrion for the dance. He stands there pale and frozen, looking at her hand like he's seeing some horrifying thing on it. He draws away from Abigail, stopping their barely started dance practice. What can his problem be? Why can't he touch her? Just when Abigail tries to reach out to Savrion, he instantly recoils and swats her hand away unexpectedly, leaving her startled. Excuse me, sir, what was that for? Shortly, he excuses himself and leaves. Meanwhile, the servants avert their eyes, clearly affected by the scene they just witnessed. Momentarily, she recovers from it and acts unbothered. She then calls Norma, one of the servants, and asks for help with dance practice. However, deep inside, she's having a lot of thoughts. She thinks that he truly despises her. Poor Abigail. She doesn't deserve that. But we don't know. Maybe he has his own reasons too. Actually, Abigail is the best when it comes to pretending that everything is fine. Oh, I see. It's a trauma response. With that, she continues to focus on dance practice with her head high despite being hurt inside. On the other hand, Savrion engages in a meeting with the other dukes. What happened earlier obviously bothers him, as he has been hot-tempered throughout the meeting. Duke Stokes' enthusiasm especially annoys him. As soon as it finishes, dinner promptly follows. Although he's scheduled to dine with his wife, he recalls his earlier actions and instructs Millard to convey that he won't be attending. He's a coward for walking away without apologizing. Without uttering a word, he then immerses himself in work, skipping his meal altogether. Subsequently, as the documents he had requested earlier are being delivered, another visitor seeks to meet with him. Anxious thoughts race through his mind, anticipating it might be the queen. But to his surprise, it turns out to be Blanche. She drops by to check on his well-being. In Savrion's point of view, what a king needs is rationality and decisiveness. He is always concerned about his kind and timid heir, Blanche. His solution to that is to keep his distance from her in order to raise his weak child strictly. No way! That is an example of toxic parenting. Because of that, she never came looking for him first. That's why her sudden visit right now surprises him, especially with a nervous expression. While she's wondering why she's looking for him, he assures her that he's fine after she checks on him. Actually, Blanche heard before that he couldn't attend the luncheon since he's busy. Shortly, she hands him some food, worried that he hasn't eaten anything yet. Savrion inspects the basket and upon seeing the food, promptly expresses his aversion to sweets. Soon after, he acknowledges his own harshness towards his daughter and recalls the Queen's reprimand for such behavior. I love how Abigail doesn't tolerate his bad behavior towards his own daughter. Queen behavior for real! Feeling remorseful, he decides to consume the food Blanche offered him. Despite finding the sweetness off-putting, he perseveres and finishes it. Following that, he expresses gratitude towards her. On a second note, Blanche opens up about the Queen's situation. She notices that Abigail looked sad after Savrion looked away during their dance practice yesterday. His chest starts throbbing while listening to his daughter. She then requests that he apologize to the Queen for his behavior. It's quite surprising that despite being scared and shivering, she still manages to lift her head and not run away. She must have a strong disposition regarding the situation, huh? Truthfully, Abigail didn't do anything wrong. Savrion's behavior is all on him and has nothing to do with his wife. He needs to take accountability quickly. Blanche truly cares for the Queen, and most especially, she doesn't want her parents to fight. With that, he decides to apologize to her. In addition, he promises to attend the next luncheon. Meanwhile, Verit vents his frustration with Savrion to Abigail through the mirror, even going as far as proposing divorce and offering his full support if she agrees. She finds it funny how he is more mad than her. I can relate to him, honestly. Subsequently, Abigail contemplates the idea of divorce after her discussion with Verit on the matter. Truthfully, Abigail is tempted to get a divorce. However, she is concerned about Blanche. To this point, she feels genuine affection for her and feels like she's part of a real family. It's quite impossible to leave the child. Also, will Blanche be alright when her mother leaves? Now that she's thinking about it, it's almost dinner time. She now regrets making a promise to dine with Savrion together after what happened. Shortly, she hears footsteps coming to her room. After being attacked before, she takes a weapon to defend herself as she comes near the door. When the footsteps halt outside, her husband's voice startles her. Numerous questions flood her mind at that moment. Upon her response to let him in, Savrion asks to have a conversation with her. As they both take seats on the sofa, he immediately apologizes. Realizing his despair for her, she informs him that she won't trouble him any further. She resolves to live quietly without drawing any attention to herself. His disgust when he placed his hand on hers before made her think that way. However, there's a real reason behind his actions. Admittedly, he explains that he's unable to accept physical affection from women psychologically. Besides that, it seems like she has misunderstood many things as well. Now I'm invested. Surprisingly, Abigail asks if he has some sort of phobia of women. Savrion then explains that it's all because of his past and his relationship with the late Queen Miriam. If it weren't for her, then he would have been able to dance with his wife. Following that, she brings up the rumors circulating about Blanche not being his biological daughter. In reality, the girl is indeed his offspring. However, there is a significant age difference between them. When he was just 15, the midwife placed Blanche in his arms, saying that she was his daughter. During his childhood, his health was frail and he narrowly escaped death on multiple occasions. His mother constantly fretted over the survival of their family, particularly after the king's passing. Consequently, she urged him to conceive a child, as that was deemed his sole purpose in ascending to the throne. What kind of mother is she? Savrion was still a minor at that time. Despite being bedridden with a high fever, Miriam believed that having a child was more important. That night, they were able to conceive because of her desperation and selfishness. That was also when it started to become impossible for him to approach women. Up until now, Savrion blamed himself for what happened. He admits that it is his fault that he can't dance with her. He then apologizes for not telling Abigail sooner. The thought that a king would fear something so normal is funny to him. Poor man, he is so traumatized. He anticipates her disappointment, yet her response defies his expectations. She's rather upset by his past experiences, and so she proceeds to reassure him that the events were not his fault. I agree, he's not responsible for what happened to him. A young and sickly 13-year-old boy was forced to be nothing more than a breeding horse, and no one cared to look after his wounded heart. The fact that the same boy who has become a healthy king punishes himself up until the present frustrates Abigail. I feel you, girl. Savrion panics as she starts crying in front of him. Seeing how he talks about his trauma without any reaction makes her cry even harder. Momentarily, he comforts her as he wipes her tears. She then apologizes for requesting that he practice dancing. Moreover, she promises not to make such requests again, nor will she go into his bedroom and do alluring things in front of him. Assuringly, he takes accountability for not telling his situation sooner. He's actually a nice man. As an alternative, he suggests practicing to hold hands. With that, he reaches out his hand while sweating. Abigail tells him not to overdo it as he takes his hand back, then apologizes. Feeling defeated, he feels sorry that they won't be able to live like a normal married couple. Following that, she reassures him that they have the freedom to live differently from others, and there's no shame in it. As long as they support each other, they can still be a family, even if they cannot be a couple. Soon after, he requests permission to try holding her hand again the following day, or rather, every night. She grants him permission, and he departs from her room thereafter. I love how he makes an effort for her. The following days, Abigail's servant shows her lingerie to wear every night, knowing that Savrion keeps visiting her lately. The servant is so nosy. However, little does she know that they are just being wholesome, trying to get used to affection. There has been progress since he's now able to hold hands for an entire 5 minutes. She tries to convince her that there's nothing going on like what she's thinking. Eventually, she believes her in the end. Lately, their relationship is getting better than before, and they appear to be a loving couple to other people. Afterward, Blanche pays a surprise visit to Abigail. With enthusiasm, she announces that she has made a decision about which dress she prefers from her collection of drawings. Blanche shows Abigail the dress she chose to wear for the luncheon. She expresses how much she likes it with her sparkling blue eyes. Shortly after, she has to leave right away for class. As promised to finish the dress quickly, Abigail requests the finest tailor in the kingdom as soon as possible. No, she must love that child that much. During the summer, the most awaited National Foundation Festival begins. It's the hottest summer of the last few decades, and everyone can feel it because people are sweating. Momentarily, as Karen makes her presence known, people shower her with compliments. She feels confident, thinking that she's the most beautiful person in the hall. She then excuses herself when she sees her father. After exchanging pleasantries, her father reminds her of her responsibility. In reality, her main goal is to win the favor of the king, as requested. She assures him that she will give her best effort, comforting him with the promise that everything will turn out well. Ugh, I hate the Stokes family and their evil plans. As soon as she gets back to the hall, someone invites her to dance, but she declines. There's only one person who can dance with her, and it's the Emperor. By the way, she starts feeling hot and unable to breathe properly. However, despite the discomfort she's feeling, she forces herself to keep composed. Shortly afterward, Abigail and Blanche enter together, both adorned in identical dresses designed by her. As chatter and commotion ensue among the people, she suddenly feels a wave of insecurity wash over her. But when Blanche holds her hand, she instantly calms down. She puts her trust in her and keeps going with it as they walk together. For sure, no one would dare look down on the child's beauty. The dress that Abigail and Blanche are wearing is called chemise. It's a popular dress that captures both comfort and elegance. Their outfit is actually more fancy for the Foundation Festival. As they make their entrance, everyone applauds them. Later on, she decides to get along with the other wives and young children. She then suddenly approaches Waitley Airy, which takes her by surprise. Old Abigail's attitude must be really different compared to now. Their conversation ends quickly, which makes her wonder when she'll have friends. Momentarily, she notices children flocking over Blanche and complimenting her dress. Meanwhile, Abigail is just wandering off alone. When someone asks the designer of Blanche's dress, she proudly mentions the Queen. Speaking of, she notices her presence, so she runs along to hug her and introduces her to the children. The children gaze at her in admiration and shower Abigail with compliments. Additionally, upon learning about the dress's comfort, everyone is taken aback. The experience of being a girl can indeed be challenging at times. After explaining the details about the dress, she decides to give a dress to each of the 5 children as a gift. The girls are surprised, but also very happy at the same time. With that, they gather around the Queen and hug her. She then tells the kids that the dress will be delivered to their own homes. Shortly, Abigail excuses herself as Blanche drags her to dance as soon as a group song plays. Everyone is dancing along to the cheerful yet soft melody. In addition to that, there is Blanche and her very adorable dance. As soon as they finish, people start complimenting Abigail in their dress. Shortly after, Karen approaches her and exchanges pleasantries. Initially unable to place her, she eventually recalls her identity. Karen offers compliments, but inwardly, she harbors resentment towards her. What a two-faced girl! To start a conversation, she asks about the king's whereabouts. Savrion is actually dealing with the envoys as of now, so he might be late. She keeps being nosy about her relationship with the king, planning to make her angry. Ugh, she's obviously so insecure and it shows. However, it seems like Abigail feels off because she wants to talk to her in private. Karen insists on talking right away, but she would be in trouble if she said it. Now that they're alone, she tells her about a caviar stuck in Karen's front teeth. In truth, she hesitated to inform her in public, fearing she might feel embarrassed. Nevertheless, leaving the matter unaddressed would only complicate things further. When she offers her a mirror to inspect herself, she hastily flees. Now she regrets divulging the information as she converses with Verit through the necklace. Abigail is too kind and considerate. In an instant, he hints that there's someone currently hiding behind her. This prompts Abigail to glance back anxiously, concerned that the person may have overheard their entire conversation. I wonder if that person heard Abigail's conversation with Verit. When Abigail calls out the attention of the person who's hiding, Lord Raven appears. He apologized for sneaking in on her, as it wasn't his intention. The two of them are not expecting to see each other at such an event. Shortly, he explains why he's all alone in the place after he compliments her dress. Admittedly, he's hiding and trying to avoid people. He doesn't like crowded places or things that stand out. By the way, he asks her if she needs a dance partner this year, by chance. Actually, there are some rules when dancing together in this country. Last year, when Savrion refused to dance with Abigail, she forced his half-brother Raven to dance with her instead. He found her quite violent and rude, but eventually danced with her unwillingly in the end. However, this year, there is no reason to force him to dance again. She then tells him that she doesn't plan to dance this time. Truthfully, he's looking forward to dancing with the queen, but her response disheartens him. In her mind, she wonders how someone can change their mind so quickly. He just said that he doesn't like to stand out. Well, that's true. However, he would also enjoy dancing with the queen. He actually has this smile that looks like Blanche, so it's hard to firmly refuse. Just when she decides to accept his offer, Savrion arrives on time and joins their conversation. There's a sudden, awkward tension in the atmosphere right now. Uh-oh, I see they're not on good terms. Raven explains that he just asked the queen for a dance partner. But now that Savrion is here, she's going to dance with him. With that, he decides to leave the couple alone as he takes his leave. Before long, they opt to return to the hall. However, before doing so, he cautions Abigail to maintain her distance from his brother. Blanche greets her parents as soon as they return. She's obviously having so much fun, especially because of her comfortable dress. When Savrion finds out the designer of their matching dress, he's surprised that his wife has such talents. Shortly after, Millard whispered something in his ear. Subsequently, he grabs Blanche's attention by calling out to her. Savrion asks Blanche to accompany him. For some reason, she suddenly feels nervous, even though they're only going to dance. While looking at the king and his daughter dancing, Millard thanks Abigail for bringing them close together. Wow, that's unexpected coming from him. How surprising! Upon finishing, Blanche joyfully informs the queen that she made no errors earlier. Aw, she's so adorable! Now, Savrion desires to dance with his wife. As he extends his hand to her, she reminds him not to overexert himself. Nevertheless, he is determined to dance with her. In light of this, Abigail agrees to his proposal. The hand that once comforted her every night, striving to appear ordinary, trembles even now. Yet he never releases her hand until the end. As they make their way to the dance floor, chatter about Savrion and Abigail fills the room. All eyes are on them, particularly because they're the only ones on the dance floor at the moment. It's actually her first time dancing in front of so many people, and she feels really nervous to make a mistake. However, he reassures her to keep her calm. Before long, they begin to dance. Suddenly, Savrion freezes. This time, Abigail consoles him by deliberately making a mistake and asking to restart the music. Furthermore, realizing the hall is too vast for just the two of them, she invites everyone to join them in dancing. Abigail tells Savrion to follow her lead. She's concerned about feeling like he's being forced. Even though he's following along, he looks pale. Deciding to put some distance between them, someone steps on her dress. Ugh, it's Karen, no doubt. Fortunately, he manages to catch her. Someone who used to shake merely by touching her hand is now holding her tightly to prevent her from stumbling. Her anxious look disappears as he playfully teases her. The song is almost over, so they proceed to finish the dance. Abigail notices that his movements are getting smoother as they dance, as if they were one. Later in the evening, she revisits the dancing moment with Blanche, captivated by her charm. Verit then consents to replay it once more before she goes to sleep. As Abigail watches, she observes a man consistently trailing behind Blanche, raising suspicions, even from different angles. He's giving creepy vibes. I wonder who that could be. A knock at her door, out of the blue, breaks her suspicions. Savrion pays Abigail a surprise visit late at night, which surprises her. She assumes his visits will stop after the Foundation Day is over, but he persists nonetheless. Once seated on the sofa, they engage in conversation for a bit. She mentions enjoying the party, but quickly apologizes upon realizing that he may have found it challenging given his situation. In fact, he also had a good time at the party. However, the true motive behind his visit is his desire to hold her hand, even though the festivities have ended. While holding hands, Abigail unexpectedly drifts off to sleep. Savrion then gently carries her to bed and places a kiss on her hand. Oh, what a gentleman! They are indeed heavenly matched. One morning, the girls who all purchased the trending chemise dress talk about how pretty, simple, light, and comfortable the dress is, especially the one designed by Abigail. One girl, who received the dress from Abigail herself, shares how kind Abigail is towards everyone, despite the circulating rumors of her bad reputation and her disharmony with Savrion. Suddenly, another girl swiftly covers her friend's mouth when she mentions Karen's shaky and unstable position in trying to gain Savrion's attention. Ha! She doesn't stand a chance in the first place! Karen hears everything but stays quiet. The ladies offer her caviar-topped food, but she blushes, remembering when it got stuck in her teeth at the Foundation Festival. She regains composure and urges everyone inside due to the heat, but one suggests a chemise dress for cooler wear, which she dismisses as indecent. Karen lectures the girls on gracefulness over comfort until Claire arrives, bragging about an envy-inducing reticule made by Abigail. Not only that, Abigail also ordered the palace chef to cook so Clara could bring something to their picnic. Abigail's kindness delights everyone, but it quickly puts Karen in a sour mood. How does it feel to be overshadowed, Karen? Abigail isn't even competing with your pettiness. She walks out, determined to peel off Abigail's mask one day. But as she observes their comfort, she finds herself wanting to experience it too. Yet she dismisses the idea and walks away. Meanwhile, Abigail enjoys eating lemon sorbet with Blanche, but the latter is quite saddened by her father's absence during their meal. Abigail tries to console her, but she too wonders how Savrion didn't come visit her last night. Not that she's expecting, but she really did. Also, she asked around about the suspicious man during the founding party, but no one seemed to know about him. Her serious expression makes Blanche ask if she's upset that Savrion isn't around, but she becomes too defensive about it. Just then, Savrion enters the dining room and apologizes for being late. Abigail notices that he's panting, so she tells him that there's no reason to force himself if he's that busy. However, Savrion brings up something else, the promise about visiting her every night. Abigail is nervously shaking out of embarrassment that he openly talks about it in front of the servants. I can't with her face, LOL. Why did y'all have to put it like that? Abigail discreetly signals Savrion to avoid certain topics in front of Blanche, and assures him his nightly visits aren't necessary. Savrion's disappointed look prompts him to wonder if Abigail dislikes his visits. Caught off guard, Abigail, charmed by the resemblance between father and daughter, impulsively agrees to his visits due to Blanche's endearing traits. Despite this, Savrion persists, prompting Abigail to discreetly nudge him and firmly remind him of his promise. Savrion changes the subject, engaging Blanche in conversation about her day, seeking approval from Abigail. As time passes, Blanche unexpectedly questions their living arrangements and their relationship progress, directing Savrion's attention to Abigail. Feeling overwhelmed, Abigail stutters, assuring that the relationship is fine, which brings smiles from both Blanche and Savrion. Wanting to shift the focus, Abigail asks Savrion about his recent activities. Savrion reveals the fairies' expertise in magic, causing a spike in prices for their items needed in the palace. Seeking input, he turns to Blanche, who considers making the items themselves due to limited availability. However, Savrion raises concerns about straining relations with royal mages and fairies if they limit magic item users. Recognizing the importance of their relationship with the fairies, they decide against such restrictions. Later, Savrion unexpectedly arranges to meet Abigail in her room the following night, leaving her stunned, given Clara's teasing. The next day, Blanche suggests to Karen that Abigail can make her a chemise dress, causing Karen to blush and admit fear of her father's punishment for wearing such attire. But Blanche thinks that Karen would look stunning in such a dress. Out of jealousy, Karen threatens Blanche, saying that if she continues to wear comfortable dresses, her waistline will expand and she won't be able to fit into her corsets anymore. Excuse me? She's even too young to be wearing a corset. Just admit that you're jealous and we're done. Poor Blanche finds herself swayed by Karen's fake concern about her weight gain. Karen implies that Abigail wants Blanche to wear comfortable clothes so she can gain weight. However, Blanche, knowing Abigail's pure heart, refuses to believe Karen's words. With a cold gaze, she asserts her trust in Abigail, who is genuinely trying to treat everyone better. Blanche takes Karen's hand and earnestly convinces her to trust Abigail as well, suggesting that if she does, she might come to like her too. This triggers a memory for Karen, recalling how Abigail rescued her from humiliation during the Foundation Festival. Despite the positive memory, Karen's doubts resurface as she questions whether Abigail's intentions were genuine. She convinces herself that Abigail was secretly laughing at her, leading her to devise a plan. She asks Blanche for help to have tea with Abigail. Well, good luck, I guess. That evening, Abigail excitedly informs Verit that Blanche has extended an invitation for her to join a tea party with Karen. Despite Verit's lingering suspicions, he encourages Abigail to accept the invitation. And if Karen decides to do something, it's better for him to have her within his reach, allowing him to monitor her movements closely. Abigail is grateful to have a trustworthy friend and continues to daydream about her plans with Blanche, but Verit interrupts her and asks if he isn't enough as a friend. After all, she's the only friend he has. Oh, it must be lonely there. I wonder if he chose to hide there or someone else did. It's true that Verit is the closest to her, but Abigail longs to spend time with her other friends as well. She wishes she could touch him with her hands, but apologizes for her feelings, deciding not to attend the tea party since he's more important to her than anyone else. Verit worries about Abigail forgetting him if she makes new friends, but she reassures him. Confident in his abilities, Verit encourages Abigail to explore society, but she feels guilty leaving him alone. Verit warns of the danger if his powers are discovered, and Abigail suggests Blanche as a confidant. Verit insists he spends enough time with Blanche, which irritates Abigail. Suddenly, sensing Savrion's presence, he cheers silently. Abigail blushes, feeling conflicted as Verit opens the door, wondering why he isn't holding her hand this time. Savrion stares at her and asks if she designed the dress herself. He notices that even though his daughter isn't Abigail's, she still treats her like family. Then, he expresses concern about her well-being at the upcoming tea party, but Abigail interprets it as him mocking her for lacking friends, so she reacts defensively. Surprised to learn that she does have friends, Savrion inquires further, but Abigail insists it's a secret. He falls silent for a moment before suggesting she introduce them to him later on. Is this jealousy or what? Before departing, Savrion warns Abigail to be cautious since Karen will also be attending the party. Confused, Abigail reaches for his hand and shyly admits they haven't held hands yet. Savrion mistakenly believes Abigail doesn't want to hold hands after she accidentally steps on his foot. Abigail clarifies, bringing a smile to his face, and they hold hands. Later, Abigail asks if he's comfortable holding hands with other women now, but he admits that it's still too much with others. However, Abigail expresses concern about his busy schedule despite him still visiting her room every night. Savrion interprets this as a suggestion that they should share a room instead. Abigail screams in shock, asserting that she has absolutely no romantic feelings for him, not even a tiny bit, so she has no intention of sleeping together. She pleads with him to trust her because she will never develop feelings for him. Ouch! Talk about how fast his hopes went down. Savrion rises from his seat, bidding her a solemn goodnight, his heart heavy with the weight of her words that she harbors no feelings for him, not even a speck of dust. Yet in Abigail's mind, her intention is not to dismiss him, but to shield him from any potential distress, affirming her harmless stance. And so she proceeds to use her strengths to win instead of worrying about things she isn't aware of. On the day of the tea party, Savrion can't stop asking about Abigail. Millard notices he can't focus, so he suggests they share a room. This idea makes Savrion think of something, and he bangs his head on the table. This constantly surprises Millard a lot lately. It's evident that Savrion has changed a lot. Just as he wrestles with his inner turmoil, a servant enters with a box sent by Abigail, instantly lifting Savrion's spirits. Meanwhile, at the tea party, the conversation buzzes with admiration for Abigail's exceptional fashion sense. Though the praise is flattering, Abigail feels uneasy under the spotlight, unaccustomed to such attention. Suddenly, Karen makes her grand entrance in an emerald dress, clearly aiming to steal the spotlight. Abigail's reaction is priceless as she recognizes the dress and proceeds to inspect it closely, much to Karen's embarrassment. Unable to contain her blush, Karen pleads with Abigail to stop. It's clear that she likes Abigail, but she'd rather follow her selfish father's orders. How unfortunate. As Abigail begins to discuss the me party dress from centuries past, someone gasps in disbelief at the idea of the evil queen reacting cutely to a dress. The girl thinks that it will be the queen, but Abigail, with her endearing charm, explains that she simply gets overly excited about beautiful dresses, which only enhances her admiration from everyone around. Abigail proceeds to captivate the gathering with story after story about dresses, leaving Karen feeling isolated and overlooked. Despite her flawless appearance, Karen's sense of defeat grows, and she storms out of the room, only to notice the amused glances of the men and the suppressed laughter. However, upon passing a mirror, Karen discovers a stain of period blood on the back of her dress. Overwhelmed with embarrassment and regret for attending the tea party, she breaks down in tears. In that moment of despair, Abigail rushes to Karen's side. Karen initially expects Abigail to insult her, but to her surprise, Abigail kindly wraps a scarf around her and escorts her to her room to change. Grateful for the consideration, Karen feels comforted by the dress prepared for her. Upon leaving the room, Karen is met with Abigail's compliment on how well the dress suits her. This praise contrasts sharply with Karen's previous perception of Abigail as a villainess who bullied others and pressured Blanche. Abigail, her opponent, her love rival, and her hatred is way too different from what she expected, because if it was her, then she'd never help someone else. Abigail is the total opposite of you, Karen. Curious about Abigail's sudden kindness, Karen asks why she helped her, noting it's not something she'd expect from Abigail. Abigail simply explains that as a woman, she understands the awkwardness and embarrassment Karen must have felt. She assures Karen that regardless of her status as Stokes' daughter, she is willing to help her. As Abigail leaves, Karen is touched by her unexpected kindness. Catching sight of herself in a mirror, Karen feels a sense of comfort and warmth in the dress Abigail gave her. Meanwhile, at the tea party, some ladies speculate that Abigail left in anger, but Blanche assures them that despite Abigail's stern demeanor at times, she is kind and loving. Blanche also expresses her happiness that Abigail has chosen to be her mother. Just then, Abigail returns and asks everyone to open the boxes in front of them. Inside are renovated redingotes, a type of formal jacket for women, paired with the chemise dresses for a mature look. Everyone is impressed with how well the outfits suit them. Before the day ends, Abigail warns Blanche to remember it is a time to be thankful for, as she now has an amazing mother to brag about. Oh, she's so lucky to have a great mother like Abigail. That afternoon, Abigail and Blanche join everyone at the gate. Count Stoke notices the warm atmosphere, but realizes his daughter is missing. He approaches Abigail and asks about Karen. Abigail explains that Karen left early because she wasn't feeling well. Count Stoke expresses disbelief at his daughter's behavior, noting her eagerness to steal attention with a new outfit only to leave abruptly. Suddenly, Count Stoke makes a critical comment about the trend of women wearing sleepwear and men's clothing, suggesting that women should stick to traditionally feminine attire. How about we stitch your mouth instead, sir? You talk too much nonsense. As Abigail tries to explain herself, Savrion steps in, starting a conversation with the Count and exchanging greetings with everyone. However, the Count becomes more agitated upon noticing Savrion's outfit matching Abigail's. Savrion persists in questioning the Count about the issue of wearing similar outfits, but realizing it's futile, the Count apologizes for his rudeness and leaves. Abigail questions Savrion's presence, and he explains he was just ensuring the party went smoothly. He excuses himself due to work, leaving Abigail blushing as she realizes he wore the jacket she made. She realizes she was mistaken in thinking he didn't care about clothes. The other ladies tease Abigail about her connection with Savrion, making her stutter in response to the playful banter. Meanwhile, Savrion blushes at the thought of receiving such a thoughtful gift from Abigail. Now that's a smile that tells a story, isn't it? Truly, love is in the air, and it's written all over their smiling faces. A few days later, as winter's chill sets in, Abigail grumbles about the cold, a clear sign of the approaching season. Verit, always tuned into fashion, mentions rumors of the king and queen wearing matching outfits. Intrigued, Abigail considers the potential controversy surrounding Karen's mi-parti dress. Given its familial significance, she understands its impact on women from less influential families. Despite her love for fashion, Abigail wishes for trendy clothes without uncomfortable corsets, yearning for ease in dressing. Verit then shifts the conversation to Savrion, mentioning his new autumn jacket. Yet Verite speaks that he seems lost in a metaphorical autumn with his heart growing cold. Sensing the need to lighten the mood, Abigail retrieves a blue box and playfully asks Verite if he's curious about what it's about. It turns out, Abigail also prepared a man's coat for her friend, who she's truly thankful for. Realizing that he won't be able to fit into it, Abigail suggests he start recreating it, and when he does, he expresses so much happiness. However, Verite stops her from giving it away and insists to be hung inside the room. Abigail then notices that sometimes Verite has childlike tendencies. During dinner, Blanche and Savrion discuss international news and countermeasures against the severe cold. Savrion proudly notes that they talked about it in just 5 minutes, setting a new record. Suddenly, Blanche opens up about Abigail's upcoming birthday. Confused for a moment, Abigail, not being the real Abigail, opts for a small celebration with Blanche and a few servants. Savrion recalls the extravagant party from the previous year and suggests keeping it simple to save money. However, Blanche insists that he attends, and Savrion agrees, planning a 4-day celebration to dispel rumors about cutting Abigail's budget. Although Abigail suggests 1 or 2 days, Savrion firmly decides on 4, leaving her with no choice but to agree. Later, Savrion discusses epidemic matters in the South with Millard, ordering further research and increased aid. Afterwards, he hands Millard a sealed document for the Treasury Department, allocating additional budget for Abigail's birthday to prevent rumors about their relationship worsening. Millard raises concerns about rumors persisting until they have an heir, but Savrion is determined to groom Blanche for the throne, believing his brother Raven won't marry and produce an heir. Out of the blue, he becomes uncomfortable with remembering Abigail meeting Raven, angrily dismissing any notion of her falling for his charms. So to recover from past situations, Savrion orders Millard to summon every merchant Abigail has purchased from. Every single one of them. The next day, Abigail has a blast styling Blanche's hair, but Blanche wonders why Abigail doesn't doll herself up too. Abigail says she's happy making pretty clothes for Blanche and doesn't need fancy jewelry. But the truth is, she doesn't think it suits her because in the past, even if she designed clothes, she used to believe that those clothes had nothing to do with her. Besides, no one would show any interest towards a girl who wasn't that attractive whether she tried to pretty herself up or not. Even though things are different now, Abigail still worries about what the mirror will show one day. She knows she has to face herself, flaws and all. Oh, you're always pretty no matter what your size is. Suddenly, she's startled by Blanche's question if she lacks the budget, so she can give her money for her to buy something nice. Abigail explains that she's just bored with spending too much money on such dresses. How I wish I had that kind of boredom, Abigail. Blanche's sadness fills the air as she longs to give Abigail a gift, but Abigail reassures her that the greatest gift is their time together. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted by the unexpected arrival of Savrion. Upon seeing Blanche's new hairstyle, Savrion hastily judges it as lowering one's dignity. However, Blanche reveals that Abigail styled her hair, causing Savrion to swiftly change his tune, joking that dignity holds little importance for royalty anyway. Only this time, Abigail brushes off Savrion's comments and asks about his visit. Suddenly, a flurry of servants burst into the room bearing boxes of expensive jewelry. Despite Savrion's efforts to please her, Abigail finds the gesture overwhelming. Savrion notices Abigail's lack of enthusiasm and dismisses the servants, seeking her opinion. Abigail suggests it's too much, prompting Savrion to offer a set of scarlet earrings instead. Abigail, on the other hand, thinks that Savrion just did it because he's trying to appease the society, but Savrion makes it clear that it's his pure intention of giving her a gift with all his heart. However, with a sad tone, Abigail declares that she isn't worthy to receive such things. With a heavy heart, Abigail lowers her head and apologizes, explaining that she can't accept such luxurious gifts. Savrion, with a heavy heart, has no choice but to take back all the gifts as he takes his leave. Abigail realizes that she hasn't thanked him for his thoughtfulness, but as soon as she's about to, Blanche stops her. In the office, Savrion's been emitting a chilly atmosphere as he stares intently, asking Millard on what most women like. But Abigail isn't the kind of woman who would lavishly swoon over gems and flowers. Aside from that, he doesn't even know what her preferences are, her hobbies, and what makes her smile. Savrion understands that no matter what he gives, she wouldn't be satisfied since he knows nothing about her. And so Millard suggests that he should ask her personal servants who are closer to her. Just then, Savrion's hope lights up again. Upon Millard's suggestion, Savrion declares to consult Abigail's personal servants who are closer to her. His hope reignites, and shortly after, Clara nervously stands before him. Upon hearing his desire to give Abigail a gift, her demeanor brightens, and she eagerly shares what Abigail would truly appreciate receiving. I just hope this won't worsen the situation. Meanwhile, Abigail receives a lot of gifts from the nobles, enough for her not to buy dresses for the next 5 years. Also, she notices that green is quite the current trend based on the dresses she receives. Apparently, a new dye has appeared, and it has been a fashion in the city. Just then, a servant hands her a gift from Savrion. Feeling bad for not expressing gratitude earlier, she resolves to thank him sincerely regardless of the contents of the gift. However, as she unwraps it, her expression shifts to one of shock and discomfort upon discovering lingerie inside the package. Sometimes I wonder if he uses his head. The lingerie leaves Abigail speechless and curious about His Majesty's intention with such a lewd piece of clothing. Abigail almost wants to burn it, but lets them put it in the dressing room, feeling it doesn't suit her masculine self. Meanwhile, her maid is in cold sweats after learning Her Majesty isn't pleased by the gift and recommended it to His Majesty. Someone's in trouble. Duke Raven requests a meeting with Abigail to give her his birthday gift, a magical item called Cleaner, which he hopes she doesn't have yet. In Abigail's mind, anything is better than Savrion's lingerie, but she can't accept expensive ones, so she tries to decline the gift. In Raven's defense, the cleaner isn't expensive, just a normal product used like perfume and spray to remove makeup. Hearing this blows Abigail's mind, and she wants to search the world for more. Eureka indeed! Raven feels embarrassed every time Abigail admires him. Now blushing, she sees him in a different light. A cute light. She invites him to her birthday party, which he gently declines, respecting Savrion's possible reaction. Raven extends his hand to Abigail as he's about to leave. Not knowing what to do, Abigail hands her own, and Raven kisses her hand, wishing her a happy birthday. Abigail's soul leaves the universe with a red face, caught off guard by such a move. Abby, don't fall for it! She asks Clara to put the magic cleaner on the table while stashing the lingerie deep in the closet. Poor Clara. She looks lifeless. Night falls, and Savrion regrets giving her the lingerie, curious if she wore it for bedtime. He tries to compose himself, but freezes upon seeing her in her normal nightgown. Expecting some show, Savrion? After the suspenseful tea time, Savrion nervously questions Abigail about why she didn't try his gift, fearing another failure. Abigail finds it odd to receive lingerie from Savrion, who she notices in his guilty face and nervous demeanor. He's sweating profusely. Unable to meet her gaze, Savrion wishes he could disappear, regretting his decision to visit. He mentally scolds Millard for suggesting the gift. Abigail's laughter at his cuteness momentarily stops his heart. Savrion, get a grip! Abigail confesses her initial shock, nearly misunderstanding His Majesty's intentions. Savrion looks as if her words have struck him like lightning. He hurriedly denies any such intentions, relieved when Abigail recalls his threat to cut her budget for such misunderstandings. Assuring her it won't happen again, Savrion departs, hoping to conceal his guilt. Later, Abigail tries on the lingerie, finding it less sexy than Clara's gift, which was more innocent and pure. So Savrion prefers cute but sexy things, huh? Verit appears disgusted by her attire. Abigail changes and dismisses Verit's insinuations about her feelings for Savrion, comparing him to a whimpering dog. Verit warns her not to come crying to him if things go awry, reminding her that looks aren't everything. He's so kind with his words. Abigail vows not to develop feelings for Savrion, recalling past humiliation from confessing love. She won't risk their current good relationship for fleeting emotions. Feeling unwell, which Verit attributes to overwork, Abigail remembers Blanche's dress fitting today. Verit regrets worrying about someone who only cares about feeding Blanche cookies. Why do you sound jealous? Suddenly, Blanche's maid informs them of Blanche's illness, vomiting, and fever. Abigail rushes to her side, finding her in bed, pale and sickly. Abigail tends to Blanche, who slowly opens her eyes in a panic, realizing she was supposed to try on the dress. Abigail gently restrains her, soothing her worries. Observing Blanche's struggle, Abigail decides to stay with her, offering comfort. She strokes Blanche's stomach, believing in the healing power of a mother's touch, even for stepmothers. Abigail reassures Blanche that maturity isn't tied to age, understanding her fears of being rejected again by her. A childlike image of Savrion flashes in Abigail's mind, remembering his nervousness after sending the gift. Blanche fears Abigail's disdain for her father extends to her as well, expressed through rejecting his gifts. Abigail clarifies that she doesn't hate her, easing Blanche's anxiety. Well, who would dare to hate sweet Blanche? Abigail asks Blanche what she desires most, to which Blanche shyly admits she wants to call her mom. Shocked by the request, Abigail grapples with the idea of motherhood, feeling unprepared for the responsibilities and uncertain if she deserves the title. Despite her doubts, with utmost tenderness, she invites Blanche into her arms, and as they embrace, Blanche finally calls her mom, solidifying their bond as a true family. As they embrace in bed, Abigail rises for water and notices the door slightly open, contrary to how the maids left it as she remembers. She pushes it open, revealing Savrion leaning against the frame engrossed in a book, exuding an undeniable allure. Eventually, he enters alongside Abigail, who has fetched water from a nearby maid. Savrion inquires about Blanche's well-being, and instead of the typical "I'm fine," Blanche recalls Abigail's advice to express herself honestly. She confesses to feeling nauseous and dizzy. Momentarily at a loss for words, Savrion falls silent until prompted by Abigail's pointed glare. He immediately steps in to care for Blanche, offering her anything she desires. But Blanche simply desires their presence until she drifts into slumber. Upon Savrion's agreement, a sense of contentment washes over her, evident in the radiant smile on her lips before she succumbs to sleep. Savrion gazes at his slumbering daughter for what feels like an eternity. Ugh, to be stared at like that. After they depart Blanche's room, Abigail queries him about his prolonged stare. He confides that it's his first time witnessing her peaceful sleeping, which he finds utterly captivating. Hearing those sentiments from a man who, in the past, seemed indifferent to his daughter's well-being, prompts Abigail to consider that he must be gradually embracing fatherhood. Suddenly remembering he has something to share, he invites Abigail for a walk. He tells her that the palace is grappling with an epidemic of unknown origins, raising concerns that it may be linked to Blanche's condition. Abigail is fraught with worry over Blanche's well-being, but Savrion offers reassurance that everything will be all right. In the light of the country situation, Savrion proposes postponing the birthday banquet, which Abigail wholeheartedly agrees with, acknowledging the gravity of the circumstances. As night falls, the princess shows signs of significant improvement, nearing a full recovery. However, the queen's condition deteriorates, prompting Savrion to erupt in frustration and anger over the mysterious cause of their illnesses. Amidst the escalating crisis, a letter arrives from the south, bearing grim news. Fatalities have occurred due to the epidemic, yet the cause remains elusive. Meanwhile, Blanche's grandmother, Her Majesty, undergoes her usual makeup routine, though she appears unwell. As they converse, they discuss the deepening bond between Savrion and Abigail. A scheme seems to be in progress, with the grandmother feeling pressed for time. She anticipates that once Savrion realizes she isn't truly ill, he will likely dismiss her. With cunning foresight, she considers exploiting Abigail. Seriously? Old people should just rest. Calling for Blanche, whom she admires for her innocence and goodness, the grandmother inwardly acknowledges the ease of manipulating the child. She embraces Blanche, feigning distress over her supposed sickness. Blanche falls for the act, just as her grandmother anticipated. She confides in Blanche about the ineffectiveness of the medicine, citing her concern over the news regarding mermaids in the East. Unable to take action due to her condition, she manipulates Blanche into her plans. She reveals tales of her hometown, including an island named Merca, the sworn enemy of the mermaids. She suggests that if Merca and Nurgen unite, peace could be restored to the East. Blanche, unsure how she can aid in such matters, is taken aback when her grandmother proposes something unexpected: marriage to her prince-nephew. Savrion remembers how he was shocked and then he felt pity for his second wife, whom he never hated nor liked. Realizing she was manipulated as a pawn of authority, ultimately meeting a tragic end. The memory of Abigail's death fuels Savrion's anger, motivating him to take swift action to prevent history from repeating itself. He muses about the possibility of forgetting past grievances and meeting again in future lives, a thought that fills him with both sorrow and determination. Despite the late hour, he summons all the magnates for Abigail's aid. Attempting to quell Savrion's fiery emotions, Miller suggests a calm approach. Realizing that he almost did something stupid because his emotions got the better of him, he tells Miller there's no need to call the magnates. Instead, he feels compelled to be with Abigail, seeking peace in her presence. He must be in love with her now. As he gazes at his ailing wife, Savrion grapples with feelings of helplessness and inadequacy, lamenting his inability to heal her. Abigail's eyes gradually open, and she questions his presence. He considers admitting that he misses her, but hesitates, caught off guard when Abigail unexpectedly voices her longing. Mutual declarations of missing each other ensue, leaving him regretful for only realizing his feelings now. Fears of losing her and never seeing her again weigh heavily on him. Ah! Wait, what's with the holding hands? This is getting exciting. Savrion successfully greets her first with happy birthday. Abigail feels like she owes Blanche the birthday party, but Savrion assures her that her health matters more than anything else. But he promises a birthday party for her after everything. Abigail confides in Savrion about Blanche calling her mother yesterday, yet she still wrestles with the doubts about her maternal role. Reflecting on past conversations, Savrion admits feeling more awkward than hateful towards Blanche. Savrion's upbringing, marked by separation from his parents and lack of personal connections, contrasts sharply with Abigail's. While skilled in governance, he acknowledges his inexperience in fatherhood, relying on Abigail's guidance. He vividly recalls her reassurance that they could navigate parenthood together, flaws included, solidifying their familial bond. As she clasps his hand, affirming his place in their family, Savrion is touched by her unwavering support. Aww. The following day, Abigail rises, making Clara worry since the cause of the illness remains unknown. Alerted to Duke Raven's arrival, Abigail redirects him to the guest room. Raven appears deeply concerned about Abigail's health, knowing she's not yet fully healed. He expresses urgency in finding the cause and treatment, but Abigail reassures him that everyone, including Savrion, is working on it. Abigail finds it odd when Raven comments on her trust in Savrion. I mean, duh, he's her husband. Presenting his gift to Abigail, a magical golden bird known for its beautiful singing, Raven delights in her appreciation, momentarily transforming the room into a spring-like ambiance. Aw, so cute! I want to put it in my pockets! However, Abigail insists the bird's song alone suffices as a gift, suggesting he take it back. Abigail received the present out of goodwill the first time, but she thinks it's quite a burden to take something again. Despite her refusal, Raven persists, proposing she return it once she's fully healed. Abigail struggles to find an excuse, acknowledging Raven's skill in gracefully declining. Preoccupied with bitter medications, Abigail nearly forgets about the bird. As she's resting, Verit shares with her that as someone capable of knowing everything, the current disease has no other precedent. Abigail wonders why it suddenly started this autumn. Deep in their thoughts, the golden bird pecks Verit. Poor Verit, but common. Isn't she cute? As Abigail admires the bird's magical aura, she realizes it's not gold but orpiment, triggering a memory related to the epidemic's cause. Orpiment, a mineral associated with the color royal yellow, has garnered attention for its resemblance to gold, yet a less valuable substitute. Notably, its pigment fades easily and contains toxic components. Those exposed to its dye often exhibit the characteristic hue of Sheely's green in death. Upon realization, Abigail rushes to Savrion's office and tells him that the cause of the epidemic is arsenic poisoning. She details that modern green pigments, wildly utilized, harbor significant arsenic content. The room occupants express confusion over why a substance typically associated with rat and insect extermination is present in green pigment. Abigail appears to be the only one using a brain among you. Sheely's green gained rapid popularity upon its market debut due to its easy processing, affordability, and vibrant color retention. Widely utilized in various applications such as clothings, tapestries, paints, crayons, and food coloring, its toxic nature remained unknown until after numerous fatalities occurred. Abigail asks them to ban the use of the dye and all affected products be collected, but she's without proof, and the man in the room discredited her because of her illness. Such a jerk! Abigail feels disappointed for not backing up her theory for such a significant problem, but Savrion suddenly asserts that if the dye is truly the cause, then it would make perfect sense. He promptly orders Miller to dispatch people to workshops using this pigment to inspect the ingredients and apprehend the person responsible. Despite Duke Stoke considering it ludicrous, Savrion believes that taking action on such allegations is preferable to idle speculation. Now that's a king. Although relieved that he concedes, Abigail worries about the consequences if she's wrong. Savrion notices Abigail is barefoot and insists on cleaning her feet, causing her to blush with embarrassment. Abigail, mind the poise! Abigail is not accustomed to such chivalrous gestures from Savrion. She doesn't dare to face the astonished faces of the people passing by. Verit tells her that Savrion is already gone, and she should have seen her face. She's just mortified, Verit. Leave her alone. The next day, Blanche surprises Abigail with a birthday party, as promised by Savrion. Abigail is delighted by the surprise, and the three of them sit at the long table like a true family. Blanche admires Abigail for her recent discovery regarding the green pigment. Fortunately, they've identified the cause and treatment of the epidemic, which is called the green disease. These pigments have been banned, and strict punishments have been imposed on manufacturers. A large-scale treatment strategy for the victims has been initiated. Reflecting on her discovery, Abigail wonders what would have happened if Savrion hadn't trusted her. The thought sends shivers down her spine. Savrion credits Abigail for the breakthrough, acknowledging that without her, the unknown disease would still be a mystery. During the meal, Savrion questions if the party is too simple for a family celebration, but Abigail feels it's even more luxurious than last year. She's content with Savrion and Blanche's presence this year, thinking about introducing Verit to them in the future. Blanche gives them embroidered handkerchiefs, symbolizing their bond as a family. Despite Savrion's birthday having passed, she insists on including him in the gesture. Wow, it seems like Blanche is not just cute, but also dexterous. They enjoy their simple party, making a new milestone for their family. As winter approaches, Abigail finds herself bursting into laughter whenever she recalls that day. However, her joy is interrupted when Clara arrives, bringing news of her impending marriage. Abigail, still adjusting to this new world, finds it surprising, especially considering Clara's young age. Clara and Norma share their concerns about arranged marriages, prompting Abigail to contemplate Blanche's future. She worries about potential mistreatment, reminiscent of Snow White's tale, or the possibility of Blanche remaining unmarried if she interferes. Abigail is consumed by thoughts of how she could prevent Blanche from facing a similar fate. Even if Blanche were to meet the Crown Prince as described in the original plot, that wouldn't put Abigail at ease. She knows her daughter's beauty is captivating, but the idea of the Crown Prince kissing her is unimaginable. Abigail simply wants Blanche to remain by her side forever, rejecting any notion of marriage approval. Moise seeks Abigail's audience to commend her growing influence in political circles. He implores her to assist him in persuading Savrion. Meanwhile, Savrion convenes a meeting regarding the Eastern situation. Concerns arise over sunk merchant ships in their territorial waters, threatening Nergin's trade reputation. As king, Savrion suggests accepting risks in the eastern region due to its proximity to mermaid territory. However, he finds it odd that recent attacks coincide with unauthorized entry into mermaid territory, questioning the navigator's competence. Smells fishy. Duke Stoke attributes the mishaps to navigational errors, leaving Savrion dissatisfied. He concludes the meeting, feeling stressed, but is greeted by the comforting voices of his loved ones, bringing a smile to his face. Later that night, Abigail paces anxiously, worried about Blanche's marriage and Moise's request. Verit expresses confusion over her concern, given the potential benefits. Abigail, however, despises convenience marriages, especially for Blanche. Just say that you don't want to be away from Blanche. Abigail is surprised by the extent to which Blanche's potential marriage bothers her. Verit ponders why Savrion married Abigail if such marriages offer little benefit to Nergin. The Emperor's determination to marry Abigail, despite his disdain for women, baffles Verit. A knock interrupts their conversation as Savrion enters with wine, inviting Abigail to join him. She broaches the topic of Blanche's marriage, only to find out that Moise has already discussed it with Savrion, so she asks Savrion to reject all marriage proposals, including those from Cronenberg, until Blanche comes of age. Knowing her duties as the queen of the Nergin kingdom and the princess of the Cronenberg kingdom, Abigail can't seem to let go of the notion of happily ever afters, which is not easily achieved. The only thing she can offer Blanche is protection from being used as a political pawn. Abigail envisions Blanche to various experiences and people so that she can make decisions without regrets. Abigail didn't need to ask for something like that because they shared the same sentiment. As they discuss Blanche's potential marriage, Abigail wonders if Savrion has considered bringing in a son-in-law to live with the family, given that Blanche is an only child. However, Savrion tells her that he hasn't considered it. Abigail had expected otherwise, considering Savrion's willingness to sacrifice for the country. She assumes he would also consider Blanche's marriage for political reasons. Savrion falls silent, then asks if Abigail has heard anything about their marriage from her father. In the past, Savrion's father was saved thanks to assistance from the Cronenberg king during a war. As compensation, they requested a marriage alliance when Nergin proposed fulfilling a favor. Savrion reveals that Cronenberg wanted a marriage between Blanche and their prince, one of Abigail's brothers. Hearing this, Abigail is incensed, thinking her father has lost his mind, as her youngest brother is 22 while Blanche is still only 9 or 10. The old man is surely insane! Savrion married to prevent Blanche from experiencing an unwanted marriage, as he had with Blanche's mother. Abigail realizes Savrion's selflessness. He never received affection and didn't know how to give it, so he used himself as a tool to protect his child. Despite enduring suffering, he continued to protect Blanche with unwavering dedication. He feels unworthy of Abigail's gratitude, but she sincerely thanks him for his sacrifices. Savrion admits that while their marriage may not have been what he wanted, he's relieved she became his companion. Abigail reciprocates his feelings, expressing happiness at becoming his family. She prays for his happiness and for their intimate bond to last forever. My heart screams for these two. Noticing it's past midnight, Abigail realizes Savrion hasn't left yet. Before she can bid him farewell, he asks if they can share the same bedroom again. Surprised, but not opposed, Abigail agrees. I mean, how can anyone refuse such a loving gaze? Albeit suggesting they start tomorrow to prepare herself emotionally. Though Savrion appears disappointed, he understands and bids her goodnight. Abigail, a 30-year-old woman who has never had a boyfriend, is about to share a bed with Savrion starting tomorrow. The maids are practically vibrating with excitement, cornering Abigail about redecorating the bedroom she's set to share with Sibellion. Inside, Abigail is having a full-blown crisis. Panic mode activated. She plays it cool, telling them not to change a thing, but we all know she's terrified of the awkwardness ahead. Girl, we see those sweat beads. You're not fooling anyone. On their way to the room, they run into Blanche, who's clutching a bouquet of flowers. She's so pure, wanting to decorate the parlor now that her parents are finally roomies. The innocence is real, but Abigail is internally screaming. Desperate for an exit strategy, Abigail tries to bait Blanche into a sleepover with hot chocolate and gossip. Blanche's eyes sparkle, but then she hits Abigail with the mature card. She'll sleep alone so she doesn't disturb their special night. Mission failed. Blanche is way too supportive for her own good. At dinner, the mood gets bittersweet. Blanche admits she loves them sharing a room because it means they're getting along, even though she thinks her father doesn't like her much. My heart! Blanche deserves a million hugs! Abigail quickly reassures her, wishing she could explain all the sacrifices Sibellion has actually made. When Abigail awkwardly asks about the marriage, Blanche just smiles and says she never wants to leave Abigail's side. Stop! She's too precious! Suddenly, Sibellion walks in for a surprise joint meal, dropping a bombshell. The Queen Dowager is returning for medical treatment. Blanche is excited, but Sibellion shuts it down with a cold, sharp warning to her not to expect anything. Abigail's heart aches. She knows she's the only one who truly understands the trauma behind that icy tone. Sibellion is standing in front of the mirror, actually debating if he should wear cologne. Sir, you're already a 10 out of 10, but the effort? We love to see it. He's low-key spiraling at the thought of waking up next to Abigail and seeing her sleeping face every morning. He's blushing like a teenager, wondering why he's this nervous when they've technically shared a bed before. He hears the door and asks if Abigail is there, but then, surprise, Blanche pokes her head out from behind her. Sibellion's face is a total picture of betrayal. LOL, so this was the secret plan Abigail was whispering about. Rip to Sibellion's romantic evening. Abigail suggests that since they have a huge new bed, all three of them should sleep together. Seeing her dad's unreadable face, Blanche starts to tear up, offering to leave so she doesn't ruin things. Sibellion, horrified at making her cry, quickly folds and insists they all stay. Secretly, he's actually relieved because he had no idea how to handle being alone with Abigail anyway. Just do what normal couples do maybe? Just a thought. The girls jump into bed, sandwiching Blanche in the middle. Peak wholesome content. After Abigail kisses Blanche's forehead, she cheekily asks Sibellion where his goodnight kiss is. He asks if it's for her, and Abigail immediately panics, blushing hard and insisting it's for Blanche. Good lord, the tension is killing me! He gives Blanche a kiss, but then the little wingman asks why Dad doesn't get one too. Sibellion hits them with the ultimate pity card. He's never received a goodnight kiss before. Abigail feels terrible, but before she can react, he cups her face and leans in for a kiss on the cheek. Oh, come on, is that it? We were this close to greatness. He wishes his wife goodnight, watching them both fall asleep while chuckling at how they really are like mother, like daughter. Sibellion reflects on a cold winter years ago when, at just 15, Blanche was born. To the imperial family, her birth felt like a sin simply because she wasn't a boy. The Queen Mother, with a face like ice, named her Blanche just because it was snowing, then walked out. I'm literally crying. Imagine being named after the weather because no one cared enough to use the legendary names they had prepared. Sibellion's trauma is so deep he's practically choking on his words. He couldn't even tell Blanche that her grandmother tried to replace her mother before the funeral was even over. Back in the present, Abigail finds him spiraling, worried that Blanche is too weak. He actually wonders if it's better for a child to be hurt early just to get used to the pain. Sibellion, honey, that's the trauma talking. Someone get this man a therapist. Abigail gently shuts him down, explaining that being cold-headed doesn't make a child strong. It just leaves them wounded. She promises him that Blanche will be both affectionate and strong, deconstructing generations of royal trauma right there in her pajamas. We stan a healing queen. Morning arrives with peak wholesome energy as Abigail and Blanche play with rabbits. But the fun is cut short when the Queen Dowager officially arrives. Abigail braces for impact, but she's caught off guard when the woman greets her with unexpected warmth, even insisting Abigail call her mother. Wait, is this a trap? My bad vibes radar is going off. The mood shifts instantly as she calls an immediate family meeting. And here we go. Buckle up, everyone. The Queen Dowager kicks things off by complaining about her exhausting trip, snidely noting that Sibellion hasn't visited her once. Maybe because you're a nightmare? Just a thought. Sibellion doesn't blink, calmly blaming his schedule while sipping tea. The mother of the year then pivots to the bedroom, demanding a male heir. When she pushes him to make Abigail produce a baby, Sibellion slams his cup down. Go off, King! He warns her not to insult his wife, making it clear that even if Abigail couldn't have children, it wouldn't change a thing. Of course, the Queen Dowager calls him weak, ranting that there's no point in being a king without a son. She claims that since she put him on the throne, he owes her a grandson. Someone hold my purse! The audacity is off the charts! She finally drops the baby talk only to bait him in a scheme to get rid of the mermaids. Sibellion shuts her down instantly, but she leaves him with a chilling reminder to think like a king. It turns out that the Queen Dowager isn't actually sick. Shocking, right? She realizes Sibellion and Abigail's bond is stronger than she thought and decides to target the weakest link, Blanche. She warmly greets the princess with open arms, but internally, she's calling the poor girl a kind, foolish child. What a horrible woman! She fakes a cough to gain Blanche's sympathy, then subtly brings up the mermaid conflict. She tells Blanche that her hometown, Morka, is the mermaid's greatest enemy, and that if their kingdoms work together, there will finally be peace. Then comes the trap. She asks Blanche if she wants to marry her nephew, the Prince of Morka. No way, she's literally a child! This lady is trying to sell off our cinnamon roll for a political alliance. Abigail, come get your daughter! The Queen Dowager is officially in her villain era. She's pressuring Blanche into an arranged marriage, gaslighting the poor girl into thinking her childhood is over and she must sacrifice herself for peace. Don't listen to her, Blanche. You're literally a child. When Blanche returns, Abigail's mother's instinct goes into overdrive. Blanche refuses her favorite hot cocoa for bitter, sugarless tea and insists on sleeping alone to act like an adult. Someone give Abigail a sword. I sense a confrontation coming. The heartbreak is real as Blanche forces a mature smile while trembling with fear. Meanwhile, the Queen Dowager gets into Sibellion's head, lecturing him that a future queen shouldn't be coddled. Sibellion, falling back to his king mode, actually starts to agree. But when he walks into the bedroom, he finds Abigail a sobbing mess because Blanche has moved out. Poor Abigail, her nest is empty and her heart is breaking. When Sibellion tries to argue that they've been babying Blanche too much, Abigail hits him with the truth bomb that stops him cold. He never actually gave Blanche a chance to be a child in the first place. Mic drop. Sibellion looks like he's finally waking up. Abigail pleads with Sibellion to let Blanche be a child a bit longer to heal her past wounds. This strikes a chord, and Sibellion immediately brings Blanche back for a family heart-to-heart. Over a glass of milk, the truth finally spills. Blanche plans to marry the Prince of Morca. Cue Sibellion literally spitting out his coffee. When Blanche claims it's her duty to sacrifice herself for the country, Abigail sees right through the Queen Dowager's manipulation. But it's Sibellion who delivers the finishing blow. His jaw tightens as he firmly declares that he did not build a powerful country by selling children. Go off, King! Tell her! Realizing his past coldness made Blanche think she was just a tool, Sibellion finally chooses vulnerability. He assures her he can protect the kingdom without her help, and that her only duty is to be happy. He tells her that she can act like a child, finally giving her the permission she's craved. Blanche throws her arms around him and calls him daddy. Sibellion apologizes for being late to realize his mistakes, pulling Abigail into a massive group hug. I'm not crying. There's just royal family-sized dust in my eyes. The Queen Dowager is still rocking her frail and ill facade, convinced she successfully manipulated Sibellion through Blanche. Dream on, lady! Her fantasy shatters when Blanche flatly rejects the marriage proposal. The Dowager tries to guilt-trip her, but Sibellion steps in, declaring he'll never use his daughter as a political tool. Once they're alone, the Dowager drops the act, asking if this is revenge for the past. Sibellion calmly explains that while he respects her past decisions as a regent, the cycle of using people ends with him. When she cries about being his only family, Sibellion hits her with the ultimate reality check. He has Abigail and Blanche now. He then reveals he caught her blackmailing the doctor. She's magically cured and officially evicted. Pack your bags, Grandma! Later, the family plays in the snow. Blanche creates a heart with her footsteps, a symbol of their new happiness. Sibellion asks if she still wants to be king, warning her the path is dirty and violent. Blanche doesn't blink. She wants to protect the kingdom her parents love. She then cheekily announces she'll sleep alone so good things happen for her parents. LOL, what a filial wingman! What a warm winter! Spring has finally arrived and the palace is buzzing. After Blanche's grand birthday party, where even the servants were treated to cake and wine, the kingdom is singing the queen's praises. The cruel queen era is officially over. We stan a kind, inclusive legend. While Abigail and Blanche enjoy some fresh rose jam, the conversation turns to lessons. Blanche, now 12, has a new music tutor, Gideon MacLeod. But when he enters, Abigail's alarm bells scream. He's the suspicious man she spotted at the foundation ceremony. Red alert! When Gideon claims Duke Stoke recommended him, Abigail is instantly wary. Despite his smooth talk and the bouquet he gives Blanche, Abigail senses a dark motive behind his friendly facade. She quickly ushers him out, her mother's instinct telling her he's after more than just a teaching position. Exhausted, Abigail consults her maids. Clara reveals the MacLeod clan is a poor family with 6 sons and no daughters. A small but specific detail Abigail tucks away. Just as she wonders if this clan even exists or if Gideon is a plant, a blonde noblewoman wants to be announced. Who could this be? Lady Karen arrives, acting tsundere as ever. She blushes when Abigail praises her dress, insisting it's just a trend, but she can't hide her joy. Even though she's still a bit cold, she and Blanche bond over fruit tarts, much to Abigail's delight. They are so cute together. The mood shifts when Karen notices Abigail wearing the earrings she gifted her. Abigail's sincere compliments make Karen spiral internally. She can't decide if the queen is a fool or just incredibly kind. Spoilers! She's just that sweet, Karen. Talk turns to the new music teacher, Gideon. Karen's face goes grim. She warns Abigail that while Gideon is talented at flattering her father, Duke Stoke, he's immoral. Despite his family being poor, he throws money around like a king. Karen admits she hates his gaze, feeling like he's faking his smiles while secretly looking down on everyone. Major red flag! Abigail realizes Gideon's ultimate goal must be Blanche. Her worrying is cut short when Sibellion appears, sweetly scolding her for staying up in the cold. As they settle into bed, now a regular thing since Blanche moved out, Sibellion intertwines their hands and commends her for working hard today. I'm screaming! This slow burn romance is everything! Abigail is internally screaming as she holds hands with Sibellion in bed. The heat makes her so flustered she starts praying despite being an atheist. When Sibellion asks what's wrong, she confesses her worries about Gideon. Being a total green flag, Sibellion offers to dismiss him instantly. However, Abigail refuses. She remembers being unfairly judged in her past life and doesn't want to hurt him based on a hunch. Instead, she decides to test him herself. Gideon arrives at the palace acting far too comfortable. He's shocked when Abigail reveals she will be his student today, not Blanche. As she subjects him to her chaotic, ear-bleeding violin practice, she watches his reactions like a hawk. From the hallway, Sibellion chuckles at her rough notes, until Millard arrives with a dark report. It turns out Gideon grew rich by selling music and charms to married noblewomen, with rumors labeling him a serial lover. As Abigail's playing suddenly improves, Sibellion realizes his naive wife is alone with a notorious seducer. The Ice King officially loses his cool, panicking that Abigail is in danger. Gideon attempts to get hands-on by guiding Abigail's arms, but she firmly tells him to let go. Thanks to the original Abigail's muscle memory, she's actually a natural at the violin. While Gideon seems humble and skilled during tea, Abigail knows better. She saw his true arrogant face through Verit before entering the room. The manipulation goes into overdrive when Gideon claims Abigail is his muse and plays a passionate composition just for her. Ugh, his sparkling eyes are giving Abigail the total creeps. Just as he drops to one knee and declares she is the one he's been looking for, Sibellion bursts in like a hero. Phew, talk about perfect timing. Sibellion completely ignores Gideon, focusing entirely on Abigail and praising her great performance. He wastes no time kicking the tutor out with a terrifying glare. Once they're alone, Sibellion drops the bombshell. He's officially dismissed Gideon from the palace. When Abigail asks why he broke their agreement to wait, the Ice King finally cracks. Rubbing his temples, he shyly admits the truth. He heard Gideon is a notorious charmer among married women, and he couldn't stand the thought of him near her. Is that jealousy we smell? Sibellion is officially down bad. Sibellion, drowning in guilt, begs Abigail to forgive his jealousy and forget his nonsense about her having past lovers. He admits he simply couldn't stand Gideon looking at her with flirty eyes. Sensing an opportunity, Abigail teases him, acting hurt and calling him mean until he's utterly horrified. He looks like he might actually cry. Finding his flustered state adorable, she forgives him but insists he cancel Gideon's dismissal so she can finish her plan. When he hesitates, she plays the "you don't trust me" card until he frantically agrees just to soothe her. Abigail is a master manipulator and we love it. While Abigail laughs off Verit's insistence that Sibellion truly likes her, Verit watches over Blanche. The princess is currently crushing her politics lesson, prompting Millard to praise her as a future great ruler. However, once alone, Blanche sneaks away to the imperial family tree. Verit follows as she stares longingly at the portraits of Sibellion and her biological mother. He wonders if she misses her biological mother and longs for her without saying anything. Blanche gazes at the portraits of Sibellion and Abigail. Despite their forced expressions, she smiles, making Verit reflect on how much she loves her family. Verit wonders about his own origins, but realizes Abigail is the closest thing to family he has. Suddenly, Gideon approaches Blanche. Recalling Karen's warning, Blanche is visibly uncomfortable. Verit panics, realizing Abigail is in the shower. He is in a dilemma, as screaming for help might cause chaos with the servants nearby. Gideon's facade slips into something darker as he guilt-trips Blanche, asking if he isn't good enough for her. He pressures her to follow him to hear a musical piece, but a voice suddenly calls out her name. It sounds exactly like Abigail. Relieved, Blanche excuses herself, leaving a disappointed Gideon behind. Blanche searches for her mother but finds the hallway empty. Verit sighs in relief as he used his powers to mimic Abigail's voice. Abigail, now finished with her shower, thanks Verit for the quick thinking. Deciding it's time for full transparency, she gathers Sibellion and Blanche to officially introduce her magic mirror, finally revealing its name, Verit. Abigail officially reveals Verit to her family. Blanche is in awe when Verit shifts into a perfect copy of Abigail to prove he was the one who mimicked her voice. Seeing double Abigails? Sibellion's brain is short-circuiting. The Ice King immediately turns into a jealous husband, glaring when Verit claims to be Abigail's best friend. Sibellion's suspicion goes into overdrive as he grills the mirror about privacy, specifically asking if he peeks into bathrooms. Sibellion, please! He's a mirror, not a creep! Verit feels totally wronged, especially when Sibellion questions him calling Abigail Bibi. The bickering is top-tier comedy. They have total disappointed dad versus rebellious teen energy. To soothe the tension, Verit shifts into a beautiful woman, but Sibellion remains unconvinced. He then tries a cute little blue rabbit form, which backfires because Sibellion claims he's seducing Abigail with cuteness. Someone help this man! His jealousy has reached 1000%! Finally, Verit transforms into a young boy roughly Blanche's age. He smugly asks if Sibellion is still bothered, acting like the bigger person while calling the king out for his blatant jealousy. Verit is a savage! Sibellion finally accepts Verit's younger form, though Abigail is low-key concerned he's essentially bullying a child the age of his nephew. Verit offers to show Blanche whoever she wants to see, and the two hit it off immediately. When Verit shyly mentions he's lonely since he can't leave the mirror, Blanche promises to visit every day and tell him stories. The friendship between a magical mirror and our precious princess? I'm melting! Later, Abigail collapses in bed, exhausted by the day's drama. She's worried Sibellion is still stiff and angry, possibly even avoiding her. But when he walks in late, the tension melts. He admits he wasn't mad about the spying for her safety, but rather at Verit calling her Bibi. Confirmed, our king is 100% jealous of a mirror. Abigail chuckles, explaining it's just a convenient nickname, but then she drops the real bomb. She tells Sibellion he can call her Bibi too. He tentatively tries it out, whispering her nickname for the first time, and he keeps doing so again and again happily. Screaming! The intimacy is real! Abigail's cheeks heat up the moment Sibellion blurts out a nickname he's invented just for her. She beams back, eager to return the gesture, insisting she wants to give him one too. Wow, the mutual cuteness is hitting full force! These two are too sweet! Sibellion admits he never had a nickname before, which gives Abigail the perfect opening. With a mischievous glint, she crafts one inspired by his dark hair and Blanche's lighter shade, blending playfulness and affection effortlessly. Sibellion stiffens for a moment, nervously explaining that the nickname accidentally matches a name from his father's past. Abigail freezes, then bursts into laughter, teasing how he resembles a tiny black ferret. Honestly, who doesn't love ferrets? Abigail chatters on, completely unaware that Sibellion is quietly taking it all in, enjoying her joyful rambling. Realizing he's unusually silent, she panics slightly, stumbling over explanations to make sure he doesn't misread her teasing. But to her surprise, Sibellion accepts the nickname wholeheartedly, wearing it like a badge of pride. Abigail is left speechless, a mix of relief and delight washing over her as the two exchange soft goodnight greetings using their freshly minted nicknames. Meanwhile, late into the night, Gideon's anger boils over at the piano, frustrated that his plan has been thwarted yet again. His lover's arms try to calm him, but a sudden question sends him slamming his fists, the sharp notes echoing through the room. She flees, sensing the dark intensity rising in him, while Gideon's mind twists through thoughts of vengeance. The next morning, Carla immediately notices how radiant Abigail looks, openly praising her glow and teasing that something sweet must have happened with Sibellion. As the saying goes, the brighter the face, the healthier your relationship will be. Abigail's cheeks heat instantly. She stammers, denying any scandal, and blurts out the nickname she gave Sibellion. Carla notices immediately, but before she can tease further, Nora steps in, apologizing for Abigail's friend's playful antics. Abigail laughs softly, forgiving them both. She appreciates the honesty, and even Nora joins in, noting how the servants have seen Abigail and Sibellion's growing closeness. She thanks Abigail for helping Sibellion open up and stopping Blanche's engagement. The mention of the engagement leaves Abigail puzzled. Carla explains that the neighboring princess had proposed to Duke Raven, hinting he might have refused. Abigail can't hide her curiosity, wondering about Raven's intentions towards marriage. Her thoughts are interrupted when Blanche bursts in, hugging her joyfully. Abigail hugs back, charmed by Blanche's excitement. They decide to have tea together, with Blanche suggesting indoors for Verit's sake. As they walk to the mirror room, a sudden bright light catches Abigail's eyes. She shields herself, but the light vanishes. Unnoticed, a golden bird flies by, returning to Raven and reporting their conversation. Raven drifts into memories, recalling the day Night stormed his home and took him to the palace. He had learned that his father had been alive all along, and that his brother had struggled tirelessly to claim approval as heir. Sibellion's change confuses Raven, wondering how Abigail managed to soften someone easily. He catches himself murmuring her name, the realization startling him. Curious, he taps the golden bird to replay her conversations, listening again to her lively banter, and sighs without meaning to. I think we may have a problem here. Back at the palace, Abigail flusters as a teacup slips from her fingers. Blanche frets immediately while the maids rush to clean and offer a change of clothes. Abigail politely declines, but then freezes. She's forgotten to refill the magic bottle and excuses herself to do so. As Abigail, Nora, and Carla return to Blanche, her mind buzzes with Raven's words and how she might properly thank him. Entering the room, Blanche's mesmerizing eyes catch her attention, and the sudden question about visiting the Royal Mage's lab leaves Abigail stunned. The two set off, Abigail laughing at Blanche's enthusiasm. Outside, the sky shifts, and the size of the research lab leaves them awestruck. Suddenly, a stranger's chilling voice greets them. Dahlia, representing the Royal Mages. Honestly, I'd be scared too if I were greeted that way. Dahlia greets Abigail and Blanche as they step inside, snapping her fingers to summon a pair of chairs. The chairs rush toward them, and Abigail jumps back, anxious, questioning if they're magical. Because, of course, normal furniture moves on its own. Dahlia explains they're called dogs of comfort. One chair gently offers itself to Blanche, who sits with delight, while the other leaps toward Abigail, brushing her dress like a pleading dog. Abigail laughs nervously, flustered by the display. Dahlia scolds the chair, dragging it away, muttering it must have malfunctioned. Abigail explains the reason for their visit, handing over the magical bottle. Dahlia accepts it and asks if they have more requests. Blanche immediately asks for a tour, bouncing with excitement. In one room, Blanche stares at a mirror that talks back. It mimics her perfectly, but falters with personal questions. Dahlia warns not to pry too much, or curiosity could lead to forbidden knowledge. Abigail shivers, deciding the magical items are too creepy, and hurries Dahlia to refill the bottle. Dahlia immediately performs a blood ritual, chanting as magic draws blood from her hand. Abigail freezes, internally screaming at the sheer intensity of doing this in front of Blanche. Ma'am, did you forget Blanche is a child? Dahlia pours the blood from her palm into the bottle, the deep red instantly shimmering into gold. Abigail and Blanche are stunned, eyes wide, even tearing up at the display. They worry the ritual hurts her, noticing the scars on her hand. Dahlia chuckles softly, explaining there are gentler ways to do magic, but this method is faster and, frankly, cooler. Both girls are speechless. Concerned, Blanche wraps her ribbon around Dahlia's hand. Dahlia smiles warmly, touched by her care, and promptly removes her eye patch, promising not to hurt herself for magic again. I guess you could save someone if you're cute enough like Blanche. Before Abigail can fully process it, a familiar voice calls out. Raven greets them, noticing the magic bottle in Abigail's hand. Flustered, she apologizes, embarrassed to ask for his help, hoping instead to return the favor. Blanche immediately intervenes, possessively blocking him, refusing his offer, and pouting convincingly. Abigail stares, confused, but can't help laughing at Blanche's jealousy. On the carriage ride home, Abigail hugs her tightly, promising she'll always be her little mother. Blanche soon drifts off in Abigail's arms, her breathing soft and steady. Abigail smiles to herself, remembering Blanche's jealous outburst earlier, barely holding back laughter at how fiercely affectionate she can be. She was indeed adorable as ever. Suddenly, Abigail slaps her own cheek, horrified by a stray thought about Blanche acting more like an older sister than a daughter. The sharp sound wakes Blanche, and Abigail quickly explains it away as a bug. She carefully hides the truth, pushing aside the idea of wanting a sibling for Blanche. I could just imagine how cute their family could be even more if they added a new family member. They return home shortly after, where Verit greets Abigail with overwhelming enthusiasm, firing off questions about the Mage Tower. His cheerfulness catches her off guard, prompting her to question what truly sets him apart from ordinary mirrors. Verit admits he has always been this way since his creation, then turns the questions back on her. Abigail recounts the incident with the magical chairs, and Verit casually suggests the chair behaved that way because it liked her, much like the glass bird that constantly follows her. He hints that she may possess dormant magic. Excited, Abigail follows Verit's guidance, pricking her finger and touching blood to the mirror. The confirmation hits instantly. She has magic! Her joy dims when Verit advises to keep it a secret. Elsewhere, Sibellion trains intensely with his master. When asked why he returned after so long, Abigail's image flashes through his mind. He deflects, claiming he needed a change of scenery. Still flustered, he splashes water on his face, trying to shake away his filthy thoughts. Then a voice calls out near the mirror. A voice he knew oh so well. Verit suddenly calls out to Sibellion, cutting into his thoughts and bluntly asking whether Raven has done anything harmful to Abigail. Sibellion's expression darkens instantly, demanding an explanation for the question. Verit casually reveals that the cleaner Abigail now uses was a gift from Raven. Sibellion scoffs, but the tension sharpens when Verit adds that Abigail genuinely liked it. To make matters worse, Verit teasingly mentions that Abigail even offered Raven private time together as a return favor. I live for Verit's schemes. Sibellion grows visibly uneasy as Verit pokes at his jealousy, openly acknowledging Raven's increasing closeness with Abigail. Verit then promises to inform Sibellion every time Raven approaches her. After a brief pause, Sibellion agrees, sealing the unspoken pact. The next day, Abigail welcomes Raven into her room, curious about his visit. Raven explains he wants her to make him clothes, impressed by her distinct designs. Abigail considers it but declines, admitting she lacks experience with menswear. Raven accepts this and instead asks for her advice while waiting for the tailor. As they spend time together, he opens up about his fondness for children. Abigail suggests starting a family to fulfill that wish, but Raven calmly dismisses the idea, making it clear marriage is not in his plans. As you should. What came into your mind having an engagement with your young niece? Raven finally explains why marriage holds no appeal for him. His upbringing and fractured family ties shaped that choice long ago, leaving him wary of forming bonds meant to last forever. Abigail listens in stunned silence, guilt settling in as she realizes she misjudged him, even suspecting he might someday stand against his brother. They exchange quiet apologies, mutual understanding easing the tension. The timely arrival of the tailor breaks the moment, saving them from lingering awkwardness. As they work, Abigail flips through the designs with growing confidence, asking precise questions and prompting Raven for his input. She compares fabrics and colors carefully, explaining how certain tones enhance his presence. She even brings up the contrast between his name and Sibellion's, encouraging him to stop viewing himself through a harsher lens. Raven's expression shifts abruptly. He steps closer, his calm expression gone, his reaction far more intense than Abigail expected. Sibellion was right. Raven can't be trusted. Before anything escalates, Nora appears, informing Abigail that Sibellion is waiting. Raven immediately regains his composure, stepping back as if nothing happened. Abigail leaves with Nora, unsettled and confused, unable to shake the feeling that she touched something far deeper than she intended. The moment Abigail enters the room, Sibellion greets her warmly, both clearly relieved to finally spend time together. He reassures her that his plans were rescheduled just for this. See, this is how relationships should be, making a commitment to make time with your partner. A sudden laugh echoes from the mirror, but Sibellion immediately shuts it down, sternly telling Verit to leave. He then asks where Abigail has been. She hesitates, unwilling to lie, and admits she was helping Raven with a fashion emergency, carefully omitting the unsettling moment from earlier. I swear she needs to stop lying to him. Abigail then asks why Sibellion insists she keep her distance from Raven. Sibellion explains his distrust. pointing out Raven's refusal to leave the castle despite being given every comfort possible. His suspicion runs deep. Catching Abigail's interest, Sibellion abruptly asks if she has fallen for Raven. Abigail nearly spits out her tea, instantly denying the idea, though she stops herself from admitting she wants to design clothes for Raven again. Sibellion waves it off and happily accepts her offer to make clothes for him instead. As Abigail asks about his preferences, Sibellion turns the question back on her, asking whether she prefers Raven or Sable. Abigail freezes, cheeks burning, blurting out a random color. Sibellion presses, demanding specifics. Cornered, Abigail finally shouts that she prefers Sable. Sibellion looks entirely satisfied by Abigail's honesty, while she turns crimson from the realization of what she admitted. He leans into it, flirting openly, far more confident than before. Sir woke up and chose to be bold. Abigail is left stunned, struggling to understand why he suddenly acts so forward in broad daylight. She tries to brush off his words, but the shift in his presence is undeniable. To regain control, she blurts out that she'll be sleeping with Blanche. Later, Blanche worries aloud to Verit, noticing the odd tension between Abigail and Sibellion. Verit calmly reassures her, reminding her of the promised pajama party. Abigail soon joins Blanche and Verit, both already dressed for the night. She praises their outfits and the pajama party begins. Blanche suggests inviting Sibellion, but Abigail quickly refuses. Verit steers the conversation, asking about Abigail's day. Cornered, Abigail spins a story about a friend being emotionally confused, recounting her situation with Sibellion as if it is not her own. Verit sees through it immediately and gently presses for the truth. Despite their encouragement, Abigail remains troubled, convinced she has no reason to be loved by the person she loves. Oh, Abigail, I hope you know just how much Sibellion deeply loves you. Her memories from the past resurface in Abigail's mind, ones that are enough to leave a scar forever. Even when she is no longer that girl from before, she can't find it in herself to be lovable. Of course, we're still talking about her friend. She knows she is worthy of love, but she doesn't want to get hurt by expectations. Life is not that easy. However, Blanche worries linger as she gives her a big hug for her and her friend, which serves as the only comfort Abigail needs from the cruelty of the world around them. The next day, Abigail berates herself for asking an actual 11-year-old for love advice, and even Verit heard it. She's an adult, for God's sake. But seeing as she is beautiful now, there's still a chance for Sable to like her, right? There is no need for discouragement. She just needs confidence. That is easier said than done. Looking back at the color samples, she remembers Raven and how scary he looked, which reminds her of a certain black shade only existing in her original world. Vanta Black. In a moment, Sibellion enters her room with his super tired eyes as he barely slept a wink last night. Perhaps because she wasn't by his side in their shared bed. Just when we thought he came for a serious discussion, it turns out he wants them to sleep together again. The man can barely sleep, his thoughts constantly circling her. Did he do something wrong? Why is she sleeping elsewhere? Sable, please, you're acting like it's the end of the world. Uncertain of his dramatic shift, Abigail relents, agreeing to share the bed again. His answering grin is instantaneous, even asking if he should redecorate the entire room to her taste. Their moment breaks when Millard calls him away to a rescheduled meeting, but her heart keeps racing. Fortunately, Verit distracts her, delving into her latent magic. He needs more of her blood for tests, much to her chagrin. With a drop from her finger, he instructs her to focus on the blood's flow and replace that image with magic itself. She concentrates intently. Dark, shadowy energy erupts from her. Verit shouts her name. She opens her eyes to find the room swirling with dark magic. Panicked, she touches a nearby mirror and the energy vanishes, absorbed by Verit. Just as he suspected, her magic is powerfully strong, specializing in curses. Ironic for someone who defies the evil queen role. Verit comforts her. Magic isn't inherently evil, it depends on the caster. Of course, they must keep this secret, or she'll truly be branded a witch. Abigail is adamant. She wants nothing more to do with this power. Why couldn't she have a different kind of magic? The question sparks an idea in Verit. He looks at her, a new plan forming. Would she like to learn magic properly? Doubtful, Abigail hesitates. Verit explains that curse magic can be inverted, like healing, or how some remedies can become poisons. To break a curse, one must first know how to cast it. Seeing the endless potential of magic in this fairy tale world, Abigail's excitement wins. She agrees to learn. Soon, she's at another tea party with Blanche and Lady Karen. The blonde sighs, declaring popularity a curse, worn out by obnoxious followers. She performs basic decency for her family's reputation, but it exhausts her. Abigail is stunned, as she's a people-pleaser at heart. The conversation drifts to a lady having an affair with another woman. They speak in coded terms over Blanche's head. Karen can't comprehend it. Abigail gently suggests that while it may be scandalous, the gender itself shouldn't be judged. Karen apologizes, then questions the age gap. Reluctantly, Abigail notes that 16 is considered adult here. As long as the older party acts rightly, it should be fine. But Karen hints at something. 3 years from now. Interesting. Blanche, listening intently, misinterprets everything. She declares she also wants to be Karen's close friend. The women fumble with excuses until her innocent curiosity is satisfied. Shifting topics, they discuss Abigail's brother Cain, visiting soon from Cronenberg. A chill of uncertainty runs through her. She can only hope nothing bad follows him through the gates. Abigail tests her magic again, focusing on the image of flowing water. Instead, a dense sphere of dark energy coalesces in her palm. A significant feat, done without a drop of blood. A relief, really. She's running out of believable excuses for all the band-aids she's been using around Sibellion. Verit proposes a practical lesson. Cast the sphere on someone today, then learn to lift it. Sensing her reluctance, he offers tempting targets. Gideon, perhaps, or Duke Stoke. The idea is awful, but undeniably appealing. Not yet, though. She needs more control. They tuck the brilliant, terrible idea away for future use. Back to theory. To break a curse, Verit explains, you must understand its composition. A curse is a lock. The cure is its specific key, a give and take. Of course, a key isn't needed if the curse demands a price, usually a steep one. Abigail finds this method deeply unappealing. He then lists examples of basic magic, each sounding strangely familiar to her. Isn't this a bit excessive for a beginner? His final example is a temptation. Curse Sable to fall in love unconditionally. The thought flickers, to secure the affection she craves, but she quickly dismisses it. Love should never be a curse. She only wants his genuine happiness. With her power, such a spell would demand a terrible price. No, as long as she doesn't curse anyone or fall any deeper herself, everything will be fine. Meanwhile, Sibellion stirs, waking from an unintended nap at his office desk. Millard fusses over Sibellion's unusual fatigue. The king never sleeps at work. Sibellion dismisses it, blaming late nights. Millard blushes, likely imagining marital duties. If only Millard. The truth is, Sibellion hasn't slept properly since Abigail chose Blanche's room over his. He yearns for her presence, her absence a constant distraction. As Millard excuses himself to order stamina-boosting meals for the royal couple, Verit corners Sibellion. He accuses him of toying with Abigail's feelings. Sibellion confesses he isn't. He likes her because they're family. Bro, what? Even 2-year-old Verit is stunned. Is it familial affection or love? Sibellion mistakes his own longing for mere lust. Raised to see love as a transaction, for power, money, or political alliance, he doesn't know how to give it. He cherishes Abigail too much for something so cheap. Verit, despite being a child, challenges his view. Love, he explains clumsily, is about wanting someone's smile and a racing heart. He suggests a simple test. Give Abigail a hug. The right hug feels different. Intrigued, Sibellion is now a man on a mission. When Millard rushes back with urgent news, Sibellion's only request is a hug. The castle staff collectively decide the king is ill. Blanche finds it odd, and Verit can only internally scream because he meant for him to hug Abigail, not everyone but her. With Sibellion's hugging tendency after his life-changing pep talk with Verit, it soon causes a commotion to the entire castle. Heck, even Duke Stoke freezes at the rather creepy embrace. But isn't he supposed to hug Abigail? The king's action certainly stumps the children. Verit really shouldn't have said anything based on his spying and eavesdropping amongst the maids. Because what use is advising when he himself doesn't know the feeling of a hug? Our sweet little Blanche realizes how lonely he really must feel. So she decides that whenever he feels that way, she'll hold his hand by putting her hand against the glass. The gesture surprises Verit, but he follows suit. He even expresses that whenever Blanche feels lonely, she must always call him. That way neither of them will experience loneliness again. Aww, our two babies bonding! On the other hand, Abigail cries, confused about what's happening to Sibellion. She thinks her curse magic has something to do with it. Abby, my dear, that magic is a total flop. Your hubby is just being a dumb boy in love. Days soon pass, and today is marked by the arrival of Abigail's brother, Prince Cain of Cronenberg, also the Duke of Chabot. But the weirdest thing occurs. Sibellion gives his brother-in-law a hug. I am beyond flabbergasted. The crazy, unexpected embrace leaves Cain amused. Nurgen welcomes sure aren't ordinary. As soon as introductions are made, Cain requests for his sister to lead him to his room for a bro-sis talk after so many years. Should we worry for Abby? Nah, maybe he's a nice dude. Whoops, jinxed it. Aside from barging into the palace unannounced, Cain nags after her position as queen. He quips that she can still win if she produces a male heir. Abigail corrects him, expressing that she has no desire for power as she sees Blanche as her own ward. She and the king are getting along well too, so isn't that a win in itself? Enough about her though. Why is he even here? I certainly don't think it's because he misses his little sister. Well, the suspiciousness wears off when a banquet for Cain shows how brotherly he is with Abigail. Is this a ploy or is he just being his normal brotherly self? Unfortunately, Abigail feels alienated from it. Well, simply because she doesn't have any recollection of the original Abigail's past. Her thoughts are soon cut off by Sibellion's arrival, expressing how fond he is with Cain. Speaking of fondness, Abigail wonders about Sibellion's fondness for hugs lately. When you hug everyone but your wife, it really makes a girl wonder. Unbeknownst to her, Sibellion is just experimenting to test Verit's theory of hugs and emotions. Hugging people doesn't move Sibellion at all, except for hugging his dearest daughter, of course. As for Abigail, he's just scared that he'll feel nothing after hugging her. Could it be that deep down he wishes for a different outcome? Finally, Sibellion takes the risk to ask her for a hug. Abigail's question was pure impulse, born from her loneliness and imposter syndrome. Curiosity is all it was, but now her heart flutters as Sibellion steps close for a hug. Finally! The hug is electric. Sibellion's heart thumps against her, a frantic drumbeat she can practically hear. But he steadies himself, focusing on the meaning, not the memory. He doesn't freeze. He doesn't retreat. Sensing his lingering nervousness, Abigail guides them to their shared bed. Her mind races, convinced she's ruined everything. Then he murmurs, voice soft, that he's cold and in need of her warmth. Since when did you learn to be so sly, Sibellion? This is new. More than just hands held beneath blankets. They settle into an embrace, hearts sinking, each praying this is real. Safe to say, his hugging fascination isn't cured. The next day, he attempts one on Millard, who narrowly escapes the royal squeeze thanks to Cain's arrival. With the buddy saved, the two rulers sit alone. Sibellion, wanting brevity, gets straight to the point, prompting Cain to deliver a stark message from the King of Cronenberg. Does he wish to become a great emperor? The question hangs, heavy and sudden. Does he yearn to rule another territory? That leaves Sibellion an impression, but it's not like he can own Cronenberg, right? Since Morka and Leta are forming a secret alliance, it'll cause problems for all of them. So why not share peacefully conquered lands? All they need is to reclaim former territories of Nurgen and recreate its former glory. That way, they both can conquer the other two countries. Sibellion thinks that the idea is foolish. After all, invoking war means suffering for his country. It's either the Cronenberg royalty thinks he's an idiot, or they're being naive about the situation. Because why would he sacrifice his people to raise his status as emperor? Cain is baffled by Sibellion's reluctance. Defeating all other races and becoming their king should be a no-brainer. An instant yes. So why isn't Sibellion agreeing? The Silverhead's shamelessness shows no bounds as he thinks humans will become victorious if they use every kind of magic out there. But Sibellion isn't easily persuaded. People's lives will be at stake after all. The following day, Abigail is as tired as ever. Sleep just doesn't find you when you learn that your brother wants to start a war. Luckily for her, Sibellion proposes a less aggressive solution: a race treaty. Too bad for Abigail, dealing with her pea-brained brother has no end. As they meet, she is visibly annoyed when he has the guts to act like he has a lot on his mind. This time around, Kane's mind isn't preoccupied with thoughts of war, but rather that of an affair. To be exact, Sibellion's alleged affair with a man. One hug between Sibellion and Millard, and Kane is already jumping to conclusions. He tells Abigail every nobleman keeps mistresses. It's a man's instinct to reproduce, and a wife should understand. She's about to give him an earful when suddenly a harsh memory surfaces. During a family dinner in the past, her father had said that a man's choices depend on his wife's condition. If a wife maintains her beauty, then no husband would stray. Talk about objectifying women! No wonder the original Abigail was miserable and insecure. The siblings bicker, but Kane gains the upper hand, completely annihilating Abigail's self-esteem. He deems her unworthy of love because of her habits. His words cling to her. She's still that insecure woman, now overthinking her recent weight gain. She doesn't even notice Sibellion's approach. Seeing her distress, he offers a hug. She usually always agrees, but now she declines, suddenly conscious of her body. She claims it's for his safety, that she might do something inappropriate. Unbeknownst to her, Sibellion is ready to lose it all. He practically gives her permission to do whatever she wants with him. What is this behavior, Sibellion? Flustered but firm, she draws a literal line, tying a ribbon between them and demanding space. This unexpected turn leaves him baffled. Fortunately, she allows hand-holding for the meantime. Phew! But it doesn't stop her from remembering Kane's harsh words. Just as long as she's able to lose weight, he won't need to notice the changes and everything will be back to normal. The following day, Verit tests her with curse magic. It's a good thing she's a fast learner, but he does note her not-so-subtle wariness after yesterday. He then dismisses her early, right as Blanche enters and suggests a picnic together. Outside with Blanche, Abigail's thoughts still linger on her weight as summer is coming soon. The pretty surroundings and Blanche's cuteness doesn't even distract her from her self-sabotaging thoughts. Even as all sorts of food and dessert is served before them, Abigail restrains herself from eating much. Seeing Abigail like that, Blanche wonders if she should be on a diet as well. Curious, she even asks when's the right age to maintain weight. Abigail spirals at the thought. She would never want Blanche to experience the cruelty of such a fate. The fate of being weight-conscious and insecure. Heck, children shouldn't even worry about their weight. And yet, she did so as a child. Oh, Abigail, I wish you'd be kinder to yourself too. Realizing her insecurity, Abigail can't help but wonder who she's trying to satisfy and please. Just then, Raven appears to ask for a glass of water, much to Blanche's chagrin. With Raven joining in their little picnic, Abigail's stomach grumbles. Not once, but twice. Despite him reassuring her that she isn't overweight, she spirals, wondering what the acceptable weight limit is. Sensing her discomfort, Raven politely takes his leave. As Abigail mentally catalogs weight loss methods, Blanche quietly expresses her concern. Later, back at the castle, Clara informs Abigail that Kane requests a meeting over tea tomorrow. Being family, Abigail can't refuse. And to make it worse, she resolves to wear the painfully tight dress he once gave her. The following day, Kane arrives in the tea room fuming. He should have pushed Abigail harder to persuade Sibellion towards war. His thoughts drift to the magic bullet, the enchanted weapon the Cronenbergs obtained from the fairies. Obtained or stolen? Would Sibellion have agreed if he revealed such a weapon? He huffs with irritation. He really needs Nurgen's military, and his sister is his only hope. When Kane offers a hollow apology, Abigail already gets a clear idea of where their conversation is headed. With firm resolve, she cuts him off. As queen, she declines any suggestion of war as her people's welfare comes first. After a futile exchange, Abigail excuses herself, seeing no point in reasoning with Kane. Just then, Kane stops her, his eyes narrowing as he finally notices what she's done to his gifted dress. With her sense of fashion, Abigail altered the skirt of her dress into puffs. Shortened, it reveals the ankles, but hey, she gets to move more freely now. And plus, the design is genius since it's inspired from dresses in European history. However, a pea-brain like Cain can't comprehend her simple explanation. Loudly, he accuses her of being a harlot. Says the man with a mistress. He attacks her even more, mentioning Sibellion would never accept her with her style. With every word out of Cain's mouth, Abigail finds herself feeling smaller. Could Sibellion really find her too vulgar for wearing such a thing? Cain continues, urging her to act like a woman with both beauty and grace, and not like a tramp seeking attention through provocative clothing. Are ankles provocative now? It's only a problem for a creep like you, buddy. Feeling defeated, he presents Abigail with a gift intended for his wife, belladonna extract. He tells her that using it on the eyes enhances the features, but Abigail knows better. Belladonna is a type of poison. Cain dismisses her worries, insisting that it's a sacrifice women make in the name of maintaining beauty. Angered with his despicable words, she throws the extract on the ground, shattering the glass. This makes Cain fume even more as he tells her that she's being selfish and crude. If she's so stubborn, he hopes she just dies. Oh no, you didn't! That's way below the belt, sir! Just from those words, Abigail rethinks and compares the lives of the original Abigail and Big Cop. Lives where they both had to live up to unrealistic beauty standards which eventually brought them to their deaths. Abigail pushes her brother back, arguing that she doesn't want to live a life dictated by others anymore. To hell with the views of her brother and father! Hearing all this, Cain raises his hand, ready to strike Abigail. The two start violently beating each other, and all one can do is hope Abigail wins. The sibling war abruptly stops when Sibellion's voice cuts through the room, ordering them to stop. Our knight in shining armor has come. Cain, ever polite, apologizes and calls it sisterly discipline, but it does nothing to ease the fury in Sibellion's eyes as he steps protectively in front of Abigail. She shivers, her knees weak, already expecting his reprimand. Slowly, he removes his leather belt and Abigail's anxiety spikes, until he places the belt in her hands. Sibellion instructs her to use it on Cain. After all, he doesn't want her fists injured. Or better yet, he offers coolly, should he do it for her? The room freezes. Insulted, Cain invokes his title, only to falter when Sibellion quietly threatens to kill him if he speaks again. Turns out, Sibellion witnessed and heard everything even before things escalated. And contrary to Abigail's fears, he finds no fault in her. He couldn't care less about her weight. He sees her for who she is, far from just exteriors. He pulls her into a secure embrace, shielding her from the world's harsh standards. And in that moment, Abigail is certain she is completely, utterly in love with him. The fruit of all her studying has come to its end, as Abigail can finally see and read the spell of her curse in no time. Furthermore, she can now directly cast spells and put it in objects, and anyone is able to use it without knowing the enchantment behind it. Oh? Should she curse her dearest older brother with impotence then? Truly the mind of a villainess. Anyway, before her brain can escalate into even more evil plans, she drinks the cursed water to test out. Lo and behold, it does work! She can't taste any food or water normally. Then, for the final touch, Verit compliments her out loud, effectively also breaking the curse. Embarrassing, but it works since affection from someone else is the only way to break the curse. Changing the topic, Verit questions if she still is on a diet, to which she denies. However, she is still pretty much conscious of it now that she's in love. With lessons finished, Blanche enters the room with a beautiful landscape of the palace grounds. It's for Verit, who's stuck inside the mirror. That's quite thoughtful of her. The curious indoor boy wonders if the body of water is the ocean. Blanche responds it's a lake, and she has absolutely no idea what the ocean looks like. Slightly cheering them up, Abigail describes what the ocean looks like. It is as beautiful as the lake, but bigger. But maybe it's better for them to see than merely describing. And Blanche just has the smartest idea. Meanwhile, Sibellion gazes at the couple's portrait he shares with Abigail, recalling the cruel words Cain hurled at her last time. He never realized just how horribly her family treated her, enough to make her constantly seek his attention. That belief, that a woman must be beautiful to be valuable, sickens him. Before guilt can weigh further on his thoughts, Blanche enters the room and asks him for a favor. Sibellion agrees, and soon they are riding together in a carriage, gazing out at a wide river. The children grow excited at the thought of seeing the ocean, so much so that they insist they should travel more often. This becomes an impromptu royal tour to the east, essentially a family vacation Sibellion secretly arranges. Though he remains in the same carriage as them, Abigail finds the gesture incredibly thoughtful and kind. It makes her fall for him even more, despite believing her feelings are one-sided. "Abby, my dear, you must confess so he can confess too!" They soon arrive at a seaside castle where Harfin Wudina, ruler of the land, warmly welcomes them. She's especially surprised by the Navy-style dress Abigail designed for Blanche. Ever since the incident with Cain, Abigail has spitefully revealed her ankles in public, unintentionally starting a fashion trend, which explains why she created a dress for Blanche. Lady Harfin views this as a grand sign of respect toward the Navy. Before long, they enjoy a lavish seafood dinner together until Sibellion finally asks Harfin about the troublesome mermaids. Everything has been quiet since closing the mermaid sea routes, but with Morka provoking them, vigilance is essential. Blanche, curious, asks what mermaids are like. Harfin describes them as strong, beautiful, and arrogant, the enchanters of sailors. She reveals a scar from a mermaid encounter in her youth. While history paints them as helpers, this is a new era of animosity. The children enjoy the sunset and emerging constellations. Verit studies the stars, feeling a strange familiarity. From afar, a red-headed mermaid surfaces, her gaze fixed on Sibellion, even calling him her destiny. Oh no, a rival? We do not need this drama! 5 days later, the family boards a ship and Abigail miserably falls seasick. The two Ravenheads fuss over her, worried further by Verit's absence. He stayed at the summer house to think. Letting her rest, Blanche stays with Abigail. She shares a strange warning from a seagull that spoke like a human. The winds are turning for the worse, it said. Out on the deck, the wind is really picking up as per Blanche's words. But it stems a sense of curiosity for Abigail, wondering if Blanche has animal magic as animals always seem drawn to her. That would explain why she was able to understand the seagull. Feeling raindrops, she decides to head back inside when someone pushes her off the deck. That damn mermaid! I know it's her! This alarms the entire Marine Navy as they grab the ropes hastily. But as soon as Sibellion sees who fell off the deck, he quickly initiates the rescue, telling them to pull the rope before jumping to save his drowning wife. However, the rope soon breaks from the elements, causing the royal couple to sink from the strong waves. As the two drown, coincidentally, the Ariel wannabe kind of saves them. The next day, the two find themselves stranded on an unknown island, and when Abigail learns that Sibellion jumped in to save her, she's shocked as ever. Abigail's mind fixates on one thing. Why did Sibellion, the king, leap to save her himself when expert sailors were right there? Why risk his life? She shouts her frustration into the storm. He has no ready answer, urging them to find cover first. The two find shelter in a cave. They dry their clothes in a tense, awkward silence, carefully avoiding looking at each other. He's shirtless and she's in her undergarments. Yet despite the chill, Abigail steals a glance at the defined muscles of his back. As the cold deepens, she pragmatically suggests sitting back to back for warmth. For emergency purposes only, of course. They wait, flustered, until Sibellion quietly argues this method is inefficient. Direct body contact is necessary for proper warmth. Ahem. For emergency purposes. Now wrapped securely in his arms, but still avoiding his eyes, Abigail's fluster grows until she feels a faint tremor in his embrace. Guilt floods her for her earlier thoughts. He's still battling his fear of a woman's touch. She quietly thanks him for the rescue, but begs him never to do it again. His life isn't worth hers. She is content with this second chance. Sibellion calls her cruel, turning his face away in pain. Without thinking, she reaches for his cheek, asking why he acts this way. It only makes letting go harder for her. Abigail silently apologizes to him and asks him not to be sad anymore. And just as their faces come closer, the two lean in for a kiss. More like what would have been a kiss. The moment is ruined when a group of dolphins catch their attention, making Abigail squeal, unaware of Sibellion cursing them internally. Realizing the almost steamy situation they could have been in, heat rises to Abigail's cheeks as she quickly covers herself in embarrassment. And just in time, too, because the sailors arrive. It turns out Blanche found them with the help of the seagulls and dolphins. At the same time, the captain said a naked, stranded woman found them too. Her name is Nadia, and she can't speak at all, but the royal couple proceeds to welcome and thank her for her service. However, looking at Nadia and the curse surrounding her, Abigail can't help but wonder why the little mermaid protagonist is in their world. And that's it for today, guys. What did you think? As always, don't forget to like the video and comment for the next part so we know you want more. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications for updates. See you in the next one!